Good morning, everybody. I'm going to get some coffee. I will be back. Pre-show starts now. Test 1, 2, test. Good morning, everybody. Actually, yeah, it's still morning. We're going live. It's Red Friday. I've got some news. We might not be on Facebook much longer. I just want everyone to know it's been a good run, but I think we're going to be done. And it's a tough decision. I want your opinion, but I'll lay it out for you. Thanks for liking the stream. If you haven't liked the stream, please get out there and do that. I know this is a spontaneous show, but we would like to get as many people as possible. The only way we can do that is if you actually like the show. I'll talk to you about Facebook. I haven't made any decisions yet, but I'm close. It's just, let me explain it. Let me take some time and walk you through what's going on and, the level of frustrations that I have with Facebook. And it's been a love-hate relationship for a while. But I'll still be here. I just don't know if you're going to find my show on here. And, I'm just, I don't know. I got to research this. I got an email and not too happy about it. Few of my vendors and people who run the streaming of my show, I got a call because I do a lot of business with Ecamm, and they warned me that on April 28th they're no longer allowing streaming from API, which means I have to dedicate my show to Facebook, and I don't think so. I don't think I'm willing to just dedicate my show only to Facebook. I don't, not with the way that they constantly throttle the show, not how they constantly screw with my advertising and screw with my income, how they do these things. I don't know if I can tolerate that. So they're doing it against everybody, and I just don't know if. Listen, my income now with Facebook is couple grand a month. It's not enough for me to kowtow to them, and it'll just have to be the viewers. The viewers are going to have to help out. I mean, that's the way it works. I need you guys to follow me. That's how we do it. I don't know if this is going to happen. I got to figure this out. I just got this email, and Ecamm's like, dude, they're not going to stream you anymore. And what? They're not going to stream anybody from API. Which let me explain what that means. You know what? Let's get the show kicked off, and then I'll explain it to everybody. And I want everyone to get an understanding. But there's plenty of other platforms. And the live show, honestly, on ads, I maybe make $20 a show. Maybe. It's just not worth it. Donations are more important. So the big thing about Facebook is having the viewership. But if I go to Rumble or I go to YouTube and run it from my site, who cares? What's the difference? And then what I do is I just announce it on Facebook. Hey, you can watch it here. It really, is it that big of a deal? We'll figure it out. We're going to figure it out together. But anyway, yeah, it's an interesting thing. Not quite sure why they're doing this, but it's Facebook. This is what they always do. They always F with a good thing. Everybody liking the stream, thank you. This is why I appreciate you so much. You know, and that's the thing, is we get a lot of interaction from Facebook because this is where our viewers are. I've got 200,000 people on here. I don't have even close to that on YouTube and Rumble. And man, I probably have 10,000 people on all my other channels compared to this. So I'll have to use this and Facebook to funnel people into that. And they're going to have to get used to seeing me other places. Yeah, but Spreely, I mean, it's going to free up my ability to have a show. I mean, I'll tell you what, you know, there's times where I pull back and censor myself because I have to. That shit won't happen on Spreely and Rumble and other places. And if I have to go to that model, Bob, I have no problem doing that. But let's see. You know, we don't know. I don't know what they're doing. There might be a way around it. It might be that I could simultaneously broadcast to Facebook and still use the API for everything else. And if that's the case, then I'll continue to do it. But I'm going to start pulling away from Facebook. It's time. They're not interested. Let's shift gears. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Wait a second. Everyone calm down. I'm reading it now. People are flipping out for no reason. We'll talk in a second. Hang tight. It's all going to be okay. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree. Stop arguing me. 'Cause I'm everything you want. Damn, show what you need. I won't tell no lies. Back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dad.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The DUM Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The DUM Show on social media or thedumshow.com.
It's Red Friday, RED Friday, which stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. A movement designed to honor veterans and deployed U.S. troops by wearing a red shirt every Friday. As simple as that may be, Red Friday is a great way to back those who serve our country. Go to dumbshow.com and search for Red Friday to get your red on.
Man, I love that one. That one's cool.
Adjusting transmitter.
Love that graphic. I'm so glad I made it.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
You know, I was perusing. I was going through the still point messages with the group. Can I just tell you, some of my best friends are people I've never met in person, and I think that's probably why. I'm an acquired taste, and I know I'm an acquired taste. I'm one of those friends you want, like when shit goes down. I'm the guy you want to call. Like I'm the guy you want in your backyard. When you got a shovel and you got some lye and some plastic bags, I'm your guy. You want to call me. But if you want to go out and have a beer or see a movie, I'm really not your guy. I talk too much. I'm opinionated. I really don't care how you feel when it comes to certain things. No, I'm kidding. It's not that bad. The friends that I have, I have had for life. And there's people I just absolutely love. And, I can count those people on two hands. And most of them are military or neighbors or people who I've spent a great deal of time with. But still point, man, I love those guys. Just now, we've met before now in life, which is great. They came up and did a concert for my company. And we drove them up. They drove all through the night. These guys are crazy. And they got pimped out, man. That's one thing I got to give Brian credit for. Not many things I give Brian credit for, but he took care of them, gave them like $1,500, got him a pimped out hotel room, a suite, a Papa suite, and filled it up full of alcohol and snacks. And it was great. They came out and they played for like 30 minutes because, it was a raise the roof event, whatever. But this is a cool little video that I think is pretty neat that I figured you guys would like. This is Brandon, and they're recording this song that you just heard. They're recording it, like in this video. They're recording this, and what's interesting is like this Monster Power Center that's over here. I own those, and I would be shocked if I didn't sell it to these guys at some point because I worked for Ultimate Electronics and I did regional sales for Monster. And I think it's the Monster 5200, I think. I've got the smaller version downstairs in my home theater, which is interesting, which is like the 36, which can take like 4,750 joules of electrical blast, which, you might as well set off an EMP. That thing's beast. Anyway. Dude, he's so good. He's such a little shit. I hate him. Oh, you can't hear it. Ah, son of a bitch. See, I caught it. You didn't even have to tell me. You didn't have to tell me. See, I caught it. Hold on. Sorry. I flipped the gears. We'll do it again. Just pretend like it was the Don't Unfriend Me song. All right, here it is. Yeah, so I get that shit all the time. I don't think I showed you guys the last concert they did. So like it was in Georgia, and these fucking guys, I mean, they just make you feel so cool. They're a band. They're the ones that deserve to be, felt like they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, but somehow they make me feel like I'm an important guy, you know? It's just cool because I don't know. In the middle of the show, they start playing the "Don't Unfriend Me" song, and it's like the people's favorite song. Like this song, they're opening the show with the "Don't Unfriend Me" show song that Brandon and guys wrote. Brandon, Tater, and Maddie wrote. And it's funny because they've now expanded it. And they've done like an Eric Johnson Cliffs of Dover thing. They've put this whole harmonic interlude into some sort of cornucopia of sound, and then they go into the "Don't Unfriend Me" show theme. And no, this isn't what we're talking about today, but this is just cool. It's so neat. So yeah, I talk to these guys all the time. And so in the last show, they did the "Don't Unfriend Me" stuff, and there's "Don't Unfriend Me" fans there. Like when they did the "Don't Unfriend Me" show theme, people are just like, dummies, and it's hilarious. They've got a cult following from this show on this band, and it's just awesome. Brandon just sent me this. He says, "This is how we are opening at the Carnival of Chaos. It's effing amazing how hard the DUM song bangs live." It really does. Here it is. Take a listen. Dude, they're so good. Like, I don't even care if you like rock and roll. They're a good band. I mean, they are tight. And listen, I'm a connoisseur of music. I know my music. It's near and dear to me. And, I went to my first concert when I was 6. So we snuck under the Ventura Pier, and we watched Grateful Dead, Styx, and, oh, crap. Was it Yes? Yeah, it was Yes. It wasn't ELP. So it was Yes. And incredible on the beach. And Ventura County Fairgrounds, got to watch that. And then I think I cut my first concert. Then we did Fleetwood Mac and I don't know. It doesn't matter. I went to all the greats. Like I've seen like some of the best concerts known to man. Some of the greatest. I saw Arthur Fiedler, who's just an amazing orchestratic or an orchestra / pops harmonic composer. Was fantastic before he passed away. Neil Diamond, Def Leppard. So many times I can't even count. Jethro Tull and Def Leppard. I've seen them at least 30 combined. At least. Joe Elliott in Houston walks out on the stage and he's in the middle of the crowd. And I've been following these guys since I was like 9, 8. I had the LP album of Gods of War and Hysteria before Hysteria was cool, before Love Bites came out, you know? Once Love Bites came out and Pour Some Sugar on Me, everybody was a Def Leppard fan, but nobody remembers High and Dry and On Through the Night and Pyromania. I mean, come on, the real Leppard. But anyway, yeah. So Joe Elliott walks out, and he's got his acoustic on his back. So that means that they're going to go ahead and break into Two Steps Behind and a medley of a few of their acoustic stuff, right? And but before he does it, he's like, "What's going on, Houston? Welcome to fucking Def Leppard." And everybody's just like, "Ah!" He's like, "I have one question for you." And of course, I'm in row like 16, and I'm up on the second mezzanine, but they're the best seats in the house. We got them through Comcast. And he says, "I got one question for you." And I'm like, "Do you want to fucking get rocked?" And he looks up and he's like, "That's fucking right. Do you want to get rocked?" And dude, it was great. Got it on tape. I got to find it. It was on recording. The kids were there. Of course, I'm cussing. But they've got their headphones on. They were younger. My boss is sitting there with me. And yeah, so I'm a Def Leppard fan. But anyway, I digress. So I love my music. And this show isn't scheduled. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But I figured I'd just show it to you. This thing hits hard. Hits hard. Dude, what a bunch of jerks. They're so good. Love their stuff. But listen on iTunes. Listen on iTunes. Still Point, STIILPOINT. I figured I'd just throw them a little plug. I just love it. They're sending me a so what they did is on their show in Georgia. Yeah, I got to change the bottom. This is an impromptu. I'm not going to be on tonight. I'm scattered. I'm all over the fucking place. Hold on. Let me just come back. So they're in Georgia, and a bunch of people are there listening to them, and there's a lot of dummies there. And in the middle of the freaking show, they stop. And I'm like, what's going on? So Brandon, lead guitarist, Matt's on bass, Nick's on drums, Tater. Brandon goes, 1 second, he takes off his guitar and he hangs it up on the mic and he has to stand on a chair because he's so damn short. And listen, pound for pound, best guitarist. I'll put him against anybody. Usually lead guitarists are really, kind of like they're lanky guys, right? They're a little bit taller, and Brandon's short, man, but God, he can play. But anyway, so, Matt puts the bass down and because they've been trying to get me a bass for like 3 years, but to ship it here would be the cost of a small fortune. So, Nick, goes up onto the hi-hat or whatever, goes onto the snare or what, not the snare, but goes onto the cymbal and undoes it. And, Matt pulls out a pen out of his back pocket, silver, because I specifically said I wanted autograph in silver. And they sign it, and they're shipping it to me. So yesterday they sent a picture, and the damn thing is roughly the size of a small car, and they're shipping it. And I thought it was the coolest thing. I mean, these guys are great. They're just good kids. They do a great job. They have great music. I love them to death, and I always critique their stuff. It's always important to me to let them know what I think, what I like, what I don't like, and I'm pretty honest with them. But anyway, I just thought it was pretty cool. So that symbol will be here. All right, that's number one. So we've got to change this title. Let's do, it is Red Friday. All topics on the docket. I spelled docket right? Whatever. It's Red Friday. It is Red Friday. All right. So Facebook. This is what's going on. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, this sucks. We're losing Facebook." We're not losing Facebook. I just read it. So false alarm. What it is I don't even need to read it. Facebook. God. It's always going to be Twitter to me. It's always going to be Facebook, but whatever. They're not allowing streaming to groups, which means the Dumb Nation, I can't stream. Well, I've never streamed to Dumb Nation, ever. You guys come out to the main page. The difference is you can't stream to groups. So like Dumb News can't get a stream, but pages can. Well, I was smart. When I created Don't Unfriend Me, I created a business page. I wasn't going to do a group because groups were too limited. They had too much control. But pages are representative of a specific business, means that you're coming to my page to do business. Therefore, there's less censoring that they can do to me because you are coming to patron my establishment. Very different. So I was smart enough when I created this little thing to do that. So needless to say, we'll be able to stream to the page. But I am going to start pulling away from them. And I'll be honest with you, it's because I don't. They demonetized my reels for some reason. I still don't know why. It's been 3 years, but nobody knows why. I've asked 100 times. They don't even. They're like, you use copyrighted shit. I'm like, dude, everyone knows I don't use copyrighted shit. I don't steal from other people. I will use other people's videos and stuff, like news reels and shit, and possibly a movie, but it's all fair use. And I have copyright lawyers who've made sure of that. So every time I use something, I run it through the chain and I get approval. So that wasn't it. And my reels, everyone knows it's just me. It's just me. It's not like here's the reel that I did for Marjorie Taylor Greene the other day. It's the exact same thing. You guys have seen it on the site. But for some reason, they've said that it's no joy. FISA warrant is on the docket and about to expire, and instead of Marjorie Taylor, so they've said that it's no It's no joy. You can't use certain things, but they can't tell me what it is, of course, because it's Facebook. So I've petitioned, I've done everything, but the warrant is on the docket and this is nobody's content. It's my content. It's my green screen. It's a picture of MTG. It's from Getty Images. And in Dorothy on the yesterday.
For the record, again, officially,
there's a sound clip that I've went ahead and said is and giving credit to. I mean, this is ridiculous. And nothing is copyrighted content. It's all mine. So, needless to say, there's a level of frustration with Facebook, and I just think it's time to possibly move on and find out why my camera is not, why it's lagging. Why does this keep happening? Jeez Louise. Yeah, this is a bummer. This has been happening quite a bit when I get into the middle of the show that my camera does this. Just 1 second. Let me see what I can do. What's going on, everybody? I'm waving at you. Yeah, it's a crotch shot. Sorry about that. What the shit is this? There we go. Test. There we go. All right, so now we know how to fix it. We just switched to the other camera. All right, so anyway, that's it. No big deal. So Facebook is stopping, and honestly, it makes sense because what groups are doing is people create hundreds and hundreds of groups and get around and get around the blocking. So what happens is somebody breaks the Facebook rules, and they just create another group, and then they'll have like 20 groups, like our good buddy does this. You guys remember his page. He does a lot of memes. I'm not going to out him, but you know who he is. He does a crap ton of memes. He's been on the show. He's hilarious. Can I say it? No. Let's just assume that it was like all lives and maybe they matter. There you go. He has a 1.0 and a 2.0. So say he's making big money on 1.0 and then he gets a strike on his group and then he's got 2.0 created and he just goes over there and starts making more money. Well, that's why they're doing it. Pages are different. Pages are tied to your account. So if you get a strike on your page, you get a strike on your account. And if you get blacked on a page, you get blacked on your account. So different than groups. Groups, because they can have multiple admins, multiple ownerships, they can be spread across different profiles. It's really hard to narrow down who's responsible. So if they just stop streaming to them, then it just takes away the problem. So to me, it doesn't affect me at all. So, okay, I'll stay on Facebook. All right, let's get to it. Yeah, Violet asks, so a lot of people are saying things. So let me get to it, okay? I've got a lot. I ignored the crew a little bit. So, yeah, my hat's backwards. And I'm not pissed. I just was like, I'm wearing my John Krasinski, shirt today. Got the beard trimmed up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw the hat backwards because I used to rock a backwards ball cap all the time when I was younger. And I just don't do it anymore because I think it's juvenile. But I was like, hey, it plays today. So my hat's backwards. I'm not angry. But usually most viewers are like, holy shit, Matt's hat's backwards. There's going to be hell to pay. So if that's keeping you engaged, then let's pretend that it's backwards because I'm upset and I'll get to it. But no, Ethan's ball game. That's the first question. Ethan went 500. I think he went 2 for 3 because we have to take the previous game. He had 4 at bats, so he's hitting 500. Hit a double, drove one to second base, and it was hit so hard they fumbled it. He beat the throw, got on first, drove a run in. Had an amazing throw. His arm is so much. his arm's great. He was actually going to pitch in the 4th, but it was too cold, too windy. Wind was like 40 miles an hour, and they just called the game. They didn't win, but it was too cold. It was wet. It was slippery. But Ethan was going to pitch in the 4th inning. This is his first pitch outing. I'm really excited for him. I'm going to help him this weekend. But he did a flat-footed throw from 3rd to 1st and just frickin' nailed it. I mean, it was a laser. I mean, he just zipped it. And that kid is like, holy shit. He couldn't even get his glove up in time. And it went right over his head. But it was a perfect throw and would have thrown the guy on first out. So he ran up and scooped it, got right in front of it, framed it. transferred from hand to glove to hand perfectly and threw it in. So he did well. He's going to be quite a little ball player. If you guys have not seen Ethan, he is my youngest. He's 10. He is just awesome. And I love the little turd to death, just like my daughter. And last night was the first time we got to see him play since spring ball. And here it is. Handsome little shit. Look at that. Just even with the glasses on, he's like, yeah, I'm Rick Vaughn. You want it, veg head? So, you know, the one thing I love about my son is by this time I was getting chubby. And the reason, you know, those hormones kicked in, and I was a couch potato. So to see this kid, he's been athletic his whole life. He's a black belt in karate. Now he's playing baseball. He's extremely fit, and I love it. I'm so excited for him. Kids aren't picking on him, making fun of him. So he's not going to have to go through that shit that I did because I was an unmotivated little turd. So he definitely got some of that work ethic from his mom, and he's doing well. Hayden tonight is going to be in Beauty and the Beast, and she has a huge role. She tried out for Potts and didn't get it, which is an absolute shame because my daughter, if you don't know, she can sing. And I never knew she could sing until I started hearing her grow up. And she sings stuff and I'm around the house and I'm just like, holy crap. I mean, it's insane. She was playing piano the other night. She doesn't know how to play piano. And I'm like, where'd you learn piano? She's like her dad. She just picks up stuff and starts playing. Same thing with guitar. And she starts singing this song by Taylor Swift, and it's a beautiful melody on piano. And it's got amazing highs and lows. And the emphatic parts of the song are just, there's a lot of vibrato at the top end. It's beautiful. And she's just crushing it. And I'm like, gosh, that sounds really good. What speakers is she playing it on? And he's like, I don't know. So we go around the corner and it's my daughter. And we're like, how in the... I swore she got into my stereo system downstairs, which is a hi-fi, just ridiculous godsend of an audio system. But anyway, so she's doing well. So tonight we'll be there, Friday night. I'll try to sneak a video or two in, but this is huge. I'm so proud of her. This is her 8th grade play. And this is a big production for Virginia. Virginia has amazing schools, minus their DEI crap and all that. But they put on amazing plays, and this school only puts on one a year, where most schools put on 2 or 3. But it's so good; it's such a huge production that they only do one a year. And Hayden has like 6 different roles in the play, and instead of having a lead, she's the witch that puts the curse on Beast. She's one of the people who sings, you know, no one's quite like Gaston. She's in Be My Guest. She's at the dinner scene. She's a few extras. She gets to do the bow out. So she is in a lead role. So she gets to go like 4th on the bows, which is pretty big, not having a lead, but having so many parts because she has like 6 wardrobe changes. And this is amazing. So she's got this huge part, but this is a big production. She's going to play in front of 1,000 people. This isn't small. These are massive in this area. This is like Texas football for Virginia. And then she's going to high school where they do like 2 or 3 a year, and she's already been marked as from the teachers here, passing her on to high school as a huge singer and actress. And that's what she wants to do. She wants to be an actress. And you know what? I told her no, so she'll do it. You know, I was like, no, you gotta major in something. But my dad was like, no, you gotta do this and this and this, and wasn't really supportive. So with her, I'm just like, you know what? I'm in reverse psychology. No, honey, you can't do that. And now she's like, oh yeah, well, watch me. And I hope to see her on a TV show one day or a movie or whatever. Let her live her dream. And so she'll starve for a little bit. That's what mom and dad here are for. We'll help her. And when she finally realizes that, hey, maybe she can't do it, or she does do it, then hell, good for her. But anyway, so she's going to do that tonight. So we're going to go see her. So today is the day show, and then we'll do the night show. Okay, got to get to questions. Got a ton of them. Let's see. Spreely. If you guys are having problems with Spreely, I don't know why you're having problems with Spreely. The Spreely live feed does really, really well. The thing is it's not always on Spreely, like the morning show isn't, because we've got other hosts and I'm the evening guy. So, even though it's recording on Spreely right now, it's not playing, it'll be up later, but it's not up right now. So don't worry. Spreely is still getting dialed in, but you can go and watch it on Apple TV and Roku and watch all the shows. But live, all you got to do is go to the Dumb Show site. I mean, I've shown you guys this, right? You just go to the dumbshow.com and you can watch it live. We're streaming there when we're on Spreely. Okay. Question. Matt, can you talk about the failure of the America school system and how they teach the wrong meaning of taxation without representation? I was taught no representation means they can't tax you without telling you what it's for. But the real meaning is you can't be taxed without the government representing your interest. Those are two very distinct meanings. Yes, but they may be two very distinct meanings, but they're absolutely the reason what taxation without representation means. It doesn't just mean they can't tell you what the taxes are for. The best way to say it would be taxation without legislation. And then taxation without appropriation. Does that make sense? So the way that your taxes are supposed to work is that the taxes are collected based upon the budget. And the tax rate is based upon what the constituents can give for the overall revenue of the U.S. government to function properly. And once those are paid, then you have to go and look at any type of programs or any type of assistance or any type of fundamental basics to run the things the government is responsible for, not just running the government, but running the responsibilities of the government, and then put that against the balance. And that would be your first partial overhead. These are the non-negotiables. So it's operating costs, and then it's overall mission cost to fulfill the mission of the government. Then you start getting into the secondary and ancillary type spend, which would be not defense or not roadways and bridges or not public schools, but funding a new initiative to channel a new stream for salmon spawning. Okay, that's not in any way, shape, or form the role of the government. However, federal government does have to get involved in things that cross state lines. So, for instance, if you have a stream that goes through Colorado and then goes through Utah, you're going to have to get the federal government involved and find out if federal dollars can actually be subsidized instead of the state, because it's a multi-state issue. So those type of things come in where the federal government is going to have to go ahead and extend past its normal operating capabilities and move into federal dollars for state initiatives or tri-state initiatives or multi-regional initiatives. Like, for instance, the federal courts have multiple states inside those courts, and you have 9 Supreme Court justices, and those justices are assigned to each district. Does that make sense? Well, there's multiple states in those districts. So when the Supreme Court is not in session or not actually looking at legislation that needs to be appealed at the federal level, they're running their district courts. That's why a lot of these judges bring these cases in, because they heard it at the district level, and now they need their peers to go and hear it over a federal level. And this is something that could cost the federal government money as well, because they do have to go ahead and take those state investigations and those states' attorneys and those states' cases, and then they have to have those cases heard at the Supreme Court level. But the monies for that can get upwards of the millions of dollars for some of these cases, and to relitigate and hear these cases. The preparation for these things are incredible. This is the Supreme Court. Well, the federal government would get involved in spending for that. That's just one fraction of an example of how state and federal dollars will mix. But then you start getting into other things, and that's going to be state-run initiatives that are using federal dollars. So there might be, let's say, for example, a bridge that needs to be rebuilt, but the state itself can't necessarily afford $9 billion to go ahead and do this. But this bridge is a huge thoroughfare for agriculture, and it's connected to Iowa and Indiana, and there's corn and there's wheat and there's everything else. And there is no bridge like that because it's flatter and shit. And there's no, crevasses and canyons and whatever in those areas. But let's just say there is, and I'm sure there's a bridge in Iowa somewhere that has this large transportation infrastructure that's required, and the state can't afford it. Well, the federal government would come in, but there would be legislation from the state that would actually go to appropriations, and they would pass the bill, and then ultimately the state and the House would assign those dollars to go to the state and how much the federal government would actually take from that. So to answer your question, this is a long way around the barn. You have to have taxation with legislation and then taxation with appropriation. And that is explaining where it's going and ensuring that it's designed with the citizenry or the government in line. Now, the problem with that, and that's why, the anti-federalists weren't looking for a large federal government, because under the guise of, well, this is for the good of the people, that we have to invest in programs that the federal government initiates. That's where we get into this rub where we're like, wait a second, how is it that you can send money to Ukraine and Israel and then say it's for the American people? Well, the government can simply say, listen, we are the federal government and it's our job to protect the United States. And we feel that the best interest to protect the United States and all of you is to ultimately ensure that the Middle East is stabilized, that Putin doesn't go into Ukraine so we don't get into World War III. So it may not be a direct effect, but ultimately it is more of a proactive spend than a reactive spend, which would be much more. Welcome to politics. So when you say that taxes have to be represented, that they show benefit to the people, well, that's a very gray line. So I would fall back on taxation with representation means more to me is taxation with legislation, taxation on something that is voted upon by the people. And how we do that is through a representative democracy by having those legislatures go to Congress and vote and pass bills that ultimately are a benefit to their state. The problem with that now is that you don't have that representation. You have the political action committees. You have the super PACs. You have special interest groups. You have CEOs and corporations buying these politicians to vote in the best interest for them and not the American people. And all those people do, and those legislators, is come back and spin to their constituents that, well, we had to make the decision that was right for the people. So this is why we did it. Here's a perfect example. You ready? I'll show you. And it's a great question, Mike. It ties into what we're going to show this morning. Let me just pull it up. This is Mike Johnson, who waffled like the International House of Pancakes. I don't know if that plays. Do they sell waffles at the internet? Yeah, they do. So I can say that. Here's a perfect example of what is known as
all the abuses of the FBI, the terrible abuse.
This is what's known as, hold on, shut up. This is what's known as waffling. Oh my gosh, Mike Johnson, just shut your face. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. So this is a perfect example of waffling. This is Mike Johnson, who says that, well, the FISA bill is 100% unconstitutional. It's spying on Americans, blah, 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 blah. Well, here he is. This is perfect. He is going to represent a certain side for his constituents, which is life, liberty, and the Constitution and protecting the privacy rights of all of us. And then in the last minute, at the witching hour, right, when how the bell tolls, right, which is literally his life. I mean, this is his life. He has run on this platform. He's saying he's a Christian conservative. He's all about privacy and everybody's, rights to have freedom of speech and the Bill of Rights and everything else. So here he is completely waffling on this because he got a big payday. We'll see it. We'll check the FEC filings next quarter and see what money he got. I'll let you know. It's not like I haven't done this before where all of a sudden you see a big donation to his campaign for $225,000 or some bullshit, and it comes from some special committee or political action committee. But listen to this.
When I was a member of the judiciary, I saw all the abuses of the FBI, the terrible abuses over and over and over, the hundreds of thousands of abuses. And then when I became speaker, I went to the SCIF and got the confidential briefing from sort of the other perspective on that to understand the necessity of Section 702 of FISA and how important it is for national security. And it gave me a different perspective. So I encourage all the members to go to the classified briefing and hear all that and see it so they can evaluate the situation for themselves. And I think some opinions have changed both ways, but that's part of the process. You got to be fully informed.
Have you been?
Yeah, that's the worst fucking answer I've ever heard. So what you're saying is that you have seen documents which could justify to the American people while spying is okay, but you can't show them to us so you can justify your spying. Yeah, no, that's not, no. That's taxation without representation, right? So although there's not a tax being applied, well, there is being a tax. It's our privacy. Those are our rights. You are taxing and you are bloodletting our rights to privacy. Now, listen, the old adage is true. And I remember driving with my dad, and we were in his, I don't know, 72 Dodge van, copper colored. A lot of people remember it. It had the black window on the side and yeah, a little bubble out on the side. Everyone remembers that van. It's a cool van. It was the A-Team van, but I don't know if it was a Dodge, Chrysler Dodge. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Someone's going to, oh, Matt, that's not what it is. I don't care. But anyway, we're driving in that thing, and it had the lap seatbelt, and it had the blue, GM. It had the blue GM inside the buckle. So if that's Dodge, that General Motors, I don't know. It's probably Dodge, Plymouth, Dodge, whatever. Anyway, so I put on the belt, and it's a brown belt. Everything in the thing was brown and copper. It's a cool looking van. And we're driving down the thing, and my dad gets pulled over. And listen, we've got Leos in the family, like up the ass. My uncle was a homicide detective. Olivia's side has cops. I mean, my dad knows all the police officers. He knows all the highway patrol guys. I mean, it's ridiculous. We know them all. And he gets pulled over, and there's some rookie, and he comes up and he says, "Mr. Spear, how are you tonight?" He's like, "Good." He's like, "Do you know how fast you're going?" He goes, "Yep." And he goes, "How fast were you going?" He's like, 32 and a 25. He's like, "That's 7 miles over." He goes, "Yes, I do." And he goes, "All right, Mr. Spear, I'm just going to have to give you a warning today." And he's like, "Okay, well, I appreciate it." He's like, "Can you tell me why you told me the truth? Because a lot of people don't." He's like, "Well, because that's what I was doing. I'm not going to lie to you." He's like, "Okay." He's like, "Can you do me a favor?" He's like, "Where are you going today?" And my dad says, that's really none of your business. And he goes, what? He goes, "Well, it's not your business where I'm going." And how does that interact with this conversation and this traffic stop? He's like, "Mr. Spear, why are you being difficult?" He's like, I'm not being difficult. I don't need to tell you where I'm going. And I don't know why we're having this conversation. We're not friends. This has nothing to do with the traffic stop. You just told me you're going to give me a warning. I'd like you to give me my warning. I just want to go. I'm trying to get to some place. He said, "Well, where are you trying to get to?" And my dad said, once again, it's not really important. The point is I have a destination I'm trying to get to, and I'm sitting there and I could feel the tension. And my dad's not a First Amendment guy. He's not a dick. He's just like, "Dude, what are we doing, man? You pulled me over. Everything's good. Our pleasantries are done. Why are you trying to make this worse than it is? Everything's good. You're giving me a warning. Give me my warning and just get the fuck out of my life." And he goes, "You know what, Mr. Spear?" He's like, "Why don't you open up the side panel?" Because it had a giant door on the side where you opens up. They didn't have automatic shit back then. We cranked that thing, And my dad's like, "What?" He's like, "Would you open up the side of the van? I'd like to take a look." And my dad said, "Well, you can look from where you're at." And he's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "You can go to the front of the vehicle and look right into the van. You can't. You can lean into this window and I'm fine. You can even come on my son's side and he'll unbuckle and you can lean in and look all you want." He's like, "But I'm not opening a door for you." And the cop's like, "Okay, Mr. I don't know why I don't know." Then I think he called him Rich. So my dad was Rich. He was Dickie when he was a kid, Dick Spear. And then he was Richie, and he hated Richie. And he didn't like Rich, so he was Richard Spear. And some people said Rich, and Rich was okay. But I think he called him Richie, or hey Richie, why are you, whatever. It was definitely I'm trying to degrade you a little bit. Like today, he would have called him Rochelle, right, on Facebook. And he goes, "I'm not being difficult." He's like, "You're not allowed to enter this vehicle without probable cause or without a warrant. You can look. I'm telling you can lean in, but I'm not opening the side door. You've already made me late for what I'm trying to get to." And he's like, "What are you trying to get to?" And he's like, "Okay, can I just explain to you something?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, this cop's going to get a fucking lecture." Because I've gotten him 100 times from my dad. I'm a kid. I'm like 7, maybe 6, whatever. And he goes, I don't care about my right to privacy. I have nothing to hide. I'm United States Marine Corps. I'm a fire captain. I've worked for the fire department. I know most of your entire department. I've got nothing to hide until you tell me I can't. So I don't really have a problem with you asking these questions. The problem I have is that you're demanding me to give up my right to privacy, and I'm not okay with that. I've got nothing to hide. I'm not drunk. I don't have fireworks in the back. I don't have any illegal firearms, nothing. I just don't want you going through my stuff because you're telling me that you have no reason to and you're going to anyway, and I'm letting you know that's not going to happen. So I have nothing to hide. I just am not going to allow you to go ahead and, revoke my rights based upon your finger. You don't get to point at me and say, hey, this is what it's got. You have to have some sort of cause. Why do you want to go through my stuff? Why do you want to know where I'm at? And he was as calm as I am right now. And I think I learned a lot of this from my dad because he was really good at telling people to fuck off without telling them to fuck off. I don't have that capability. I just tell people to fuck off. But he's right. I worked intelligence for the United States government. I've worked for alphabet agencies. I've worked as an independent and a private contractor. I've held some of the highest clearances that the United States government gives. I've briefed some very important people. I know people who fly on Air Force One. I know people who protect the president. I know people in all the alphabet agencies. I've run and worked in 3 Fortune 15 companies as a director or as a vice president. Done very, very well in my life. Consider myself fairly educated. I've got a good-looking wife, good-looking kids, good-looking house. Pretty fit for a 50-year-old. And I got nothing to hide. I do a show where I put it all out on the air for you. I'll open up my computers, my browser history. I'll open up my safe. I'll open up my gun safes. I'll do anything if you have a warrant. But the moment that you tell me that my privacy no longer matters, and you're going to listen into my phone calls and listen into my emails, and even though I don't have anything to hide, I've got a problem with that. Just like my dad. And you should too. I've got nothing to hide. I'm an open book. I talk about my family. I've talked about my drug addiction, habitual to medicines after my accident in the military. I've talked about my weight issue when I was a kid, about being bullied. I've talked about sexual violations done to me by 2 different people. And I've shared that story publicly to help people get through it, help victims get through these things. I'm an open fucking book, man. What you see is what you get. I don't know how to be fake. I've never been fake. I've always been this way. It's cost me relationships. It's cost me family. It's cost me friends because I am who I am. I don't have a filter. And the people who love me. And the people who hate me. And that's okay. But you're still not going to go ahead and go through my shit, even though I've got nothing to hide. Because the moment that I go ahead and give you the privilege, you will never, ever reinstate my rights. Because once I allow you to usurp my rights from me, they're no longer mine. Because all you have to say is, well, you were okay with it before. What are you hiding now? Where do we draw the line? Do you come into my bedroom? Do you go ahead and visit me at church? Do you start looking at my friends and looking at their sexual orientation or their religious beliefs? Do you start going through my browser history and wonder why I'm searching for Barry Manilow? Don't judge. Just listen to it. Just don't judge me. Listen to Barry Manilow. Just, dude. And I'm ready to take a chance again. Oh, Mandy. Come on. It's Barry Manilow. Everybody's a little gay when they listen to Barry Manilow. But once you start doing those things, I've got questions. There's a lot of people who know that I don't condone J6. I don't support J6ers. I don't support people who were there who did things. And then I support the ones who didn't. Because I'm allowed to look at both angles. I'm allowed to look at the people who did bad things and hold them accountable and say, I don't appreciate what they did. I think it has done a disservice to our country. Sorry, I got to put my light on. It's done a disservice to our movement. It's maligned us with people like BLM. And it's given the liberals an excuse to go ahead and hang it over our necks. I don't appreciate it. Do I believe those people need to be in jail for the rest of their life? No. Do I believe that they need to be going after J6 grandma? No. Do I think they need to go after some of the Proud Boys? Yeah. I've read those texts. They're not pretty. I've read some of the conspiratorial type stuff that people say, oh, there's no proof. Well, there's some proof. You just need to actually go and look at it. But the moment that they go in and tell those people who were there, who were just at a rally, and say, we need you to go ahead and open up your browser history. We need you to open up your emails. We need you to go through your trash. You've got nothing to hide, right? Well, that sounds an awful lot like 1940s Germany to me. And that was the line that they used. And certainly I don't know it in German. What do you have to hide, Fräulein? If you are not doing anything wrong, what is the problem with me looking through your garbage? It's kind of French. Looking through your garbage, I will not. That's not French. It's some guttural shit. Hastosh Fräulein. There it is. And once you do that, you've got a problem. So when you ask about representation, taxation without representation, it wasn't the Boston Tea Harbor that caused all of this. It was the confiscation of property. It was the confiscation of weaponry. It was the redistricting of lines and plowshare and overall agricultural yield and taxation on property, and then taxation on tolls, and then and throughways and bridges, and then taxation on the actual product, and then the taxation on the income, and then the taxation on the planting, and the quarterly taxes on the yields. There were so many other things that happened. It's just the Boston Tea Party was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was the one that said, no more. We're done. We're done. So anyway, I've got so many comments here. Got a shit ton of likes. Holy God. Thanks, everybody. Everyone's in here today. Question, how was Ethan's game? I explained it. Thank you for asking, Roxanne. Roxanne, you don't have to turn out the red light. You want the streets for money. You don't even care if it's wrong or it's right. Roxanne. It's good to see Matt glow talking about something he loves. When did I talk about porn? I do love Still Point. I love Still Point. Steppenwolf. Oof. Chef lady. No, I'm sorry there were no notifications. We came in quick. Hey, Matt. Hey, Olivia. Good job, Ethan. Good luck tonight, Hayden. There you go. You got it all out. Yet Benny can plagiarize from whoever. You hit a nerve because you come to the table with facts. You know, Benny, I have been on the precipice with Benny. Like, some days I'm like, Benny's okay. Other days I'm like, Benny's a dick. Other days I'm like, Benny's a thief. Other days I'm like, Benny tries. You know what? There's a different level in this game. Benny and I are nothing alike. Benny checks his hair before he comes on, right? I care more about my sound and my lighting and my content and if the graphics are right. He cares about if his set looks like mine. You know, I've changed up my set multiple times. I mean, I have different angles in this room. But Benny steals from people. And you know what? He's like Dane Cook. You know? He just steals. He's like Carlos Mencia. He just steals other people's jokes. And he's not funny. They're not funny. So they borrow from other comedians who are less popular. And then they regurgitate what they say. And I know Benny's listened to my show. And I know people on Fox have listened to my show. Holy shit. Judge Janine did a freaking spot for me. Of course she's seen my show. And it doesn't shock me that I'll say something in the morning show and then at 5 o'clock it's on the 5. And I'm like, if you guys think that this little world that we have, people aren't picking each other apart. That's all it is. I do the same thing. I go to articles from MSNBC, CNN, whatever. I collect them. Then I go to Washington Post, New York Times, Star Free Press, whatever. I put it all together, and then I go ahead and write an amalgamation of all of those things that I find that people would want to hear a different take. That's not theft. That's educating yourself and giving credit where credit's due. And if I do find myself writing an article that's very much in line with another article, I'll give that person credit. I've done it on Fox News before. I've done it on The Globe. I've done it on Al Jazeera, for God's sakes. And I don't think anyone from Al Jazeera is going to come and let me know that I have an article that's very similar to them. Listen, I get 125,000 people a week. That's a lot. That's pretty good for a small-time blog. The blog's only been up for like 2.5 months. It's doing great. But Benny will steal people's shit, re-tag it with his own stuff, and that's just something I don't play. In fact, Amy Stamcombe here will tell you that there was some meme place. I don't even remember. It was like unmemorized memes or something, whatever. And this guy's a meme factory. And I was on Twitter. He was on Facebook. And on Twitter, I guess his meme was out there. And I just took the meme and there was no tag on it. And I put it on my page and I just wrote my own thing. And he goes, "Why'd you take off my my watermark?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What watermark?" He's like, "This is on Facebook. It's mine." I said, "Dude, I got it on Twitter, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. But if you want credit, just let me know and I'll tag you. You don't need to be, it's a meme, bro. You're not right and freaking, inherit the wind here. It's a meme. Everyone does it. But when you take a full video that's cut by somebody and you just go ahead and put 3 minutes of you talking at the end, nonsensically, that has nothing to do with anything. No. That has nothing to do with anything? No. You're stealing. So Benny does that, and I'm not a big fan of it. I've called him out on it. Benny's going to be Benny. Benny doesn't care. That girl that he took that stuff from, that whatever her name was, Ann or whatever, all he did was delete the video. Instead of just going on there and saying, "Hey, man, this is this chick's video. Guys, go like her." No, he doesn't do that because he's a fucking, he's a collector. He's like Slughorn in Harry Potter. He collects things. He collects people. And Benny Johnson doesn't give credit to anyone. He doesn't help anyone. He doesn't share anybody who doesn't share him. He's not about helping the community. He wants all the clicks. He wants the money. He makes a shit ton of money doing this. And you know what? He should. He should be very, very jealous, and he should be very protective of his content. What he shouldn't do is steal other people's content, and then when he gets caught, not apologize, and then delete it. That's a bitch move. And he's a bitch. I mean, he may have guns behind him, and he works out, and only thing he does is buys, and he doesn't do leg day. Some of us are older and some of us don't care about that. The guns we have behind us, we actually use. The firearms that we have, we've actually put rounds down range in. We actually practice with or hunt with. There's all the shit behind him. He's never put a round through. I promise you. And if he has, he's using like an over-under or some shit and hitting clays or something. And it's not to judge him. I think that I don't think he's as religious as he pretends to be. And I think he starts out his mornings with a prayer for likes and clicks. Because he hasn't demonstrated to me anything that would show that he's honorable or Christian-like. He's given away things, yeah, but you also had 1 million views on that. You made a shit ton of money giving away those toys. Have you done it without cameras? Have you done those things without gaining and garnering attention? Am I perfect? No. But do I believe that Benny Johnson has done a great job? No, I don't. And I think that he does some pretty rude shit to people. There it is. Let's see. Matt, have you heard anything about Iran's possible attack on Israel? Yeah. Here's the thing. Iran doesn't want to get involved with Israel or the United States in any way, shape, or form. There has been, okay, so let me Mossad, CIA, and one other agency that is immaterial put out a flash that over the next couple days, Iran is going to retaliate for a strike that took out a terrorist leader, and that Iran is ultimately going to retaliate against Israel in some way, shape, or form. It's extremely doubtful that Israel, the mainland of Israel, is going to be hit. I think what you will see is possibly northern territory on the border of Lebanon, Beirut, where Hezbollah is, where you might see those forces hit by Iran. You might see the eastern side of Israel against Syria, where the IRGC is, who are Iran proxy. I would not hold your breath for a major attack. I don't believe Iran wants to go to war with Israel or the United States. I think that is the last thing that they want. This is why they run proxies. This is why they run Hezbollah and the IRGC and the JIP and the Islamic Brotherhood and the Houthis, is because they don't want lines of sinew attached to the things that they do by proxy to hit Iran. So I would be very surprised to see Iran do anything of that magnitude. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. What I'm more concerned about is I'm more concerned about an attack on U.S. soil, with the amount of people on no-fly and are on the terrorist watch list who are getting in through the southern border. That wasn't concerning me from a major attack, but it doesn't take a major attack to hit a bus or a train or a movie theater. And these are the type of tactics that we saw in Afghanistan, we saw in Bosnia, we saw in Syria, we saw in Iraq. Is these fear tactics. I told everyone to go watch the movie The Siege with Annette Bening and Denzel Washington, and I still highly recommend it. If you want to see what it could look like, that is exactly what you could anticipate happening in the United States. And it would be like the Boston Marathon bombing, things like that. Small, impactful, dense crowds, high casualty events, not another 9/11, not hitting our energy sector, not hitting our water, not doing an EMP, not bringing a nuke on soil, more guerrilla warfare type tactics. That's what scares me. And I think everyone should be worried. As far as the show freezing, this is a tactic that Facebook does, is they will pick shows, like if they get an overabundance of traffic, they'll lock shows up so you just leave and quit. The easiest way to do is to close down the Facebook app completely, just do a swipe up, open it, and come back into the show. Or go to another channel. So I was at 140, which I was like, wow, that's really high for a surprise show. And then it dropped. So it's what Facebook does. That's what Facebook does. Okay. Geez, Mike, how many questions you got today? Why did we design AI to do art, writing, and mathematics, but humans humans have to do hard labor? Why do we design labor so we can do the stuff humans enjoy? It seems like another shit, because there's no money in it, dude. There's no money in that. There's no such thing as free labor. You know, to do art, to replicate a sonnet, to replicate a song, the works are already completed. Now you just need to put them all together and pick and choose what you want from a series of words, series of notes, and a series of intentions to recreate. The work's been done. That's why AI is effective. You can't move a boulder from one place to another, no matter how many times it's been done before, without practical application, without intent. And just because you've seen a rock move from one point to another, you physically need to move that rock. Until you create some sort of atomizer or neuron inhibitor that allows you to go ahead and mind control people and use them, or create robots or whatever the fuck. That's why, because the infrastructure isn't in place to do manual labor. Now you're seeing some of it happen. Like McDonald's, they have a full automated restaurant now. So it's coming. It's not there yet. Reading comments. Michelle says, you are smarter than Benny to begin with. I don't know if intelligence can be measured in that way. I don't know if that's true. I don't think I'm smarter than Benny. I've heard Benny do some rants that they're really shit hot. They're good. He's not a dumb guy. That stupidity is not his problem. Benny sells fear. And that's what he does. And it doesn't take a genius to do that. There's people doing it about the Jews right now who are making millions of dollars. Look at Jake Shields. You know, he won 6 UFC championships. Yeah, but he's a fucking idiot. And he's just selling Jew hate. And he's making money hand over fist over it. So there's people who, you know, if you ask me about Benny and you say, well, Matt, can Benny have a conversation with you on the military? No, he can't. I'd smoke him. But maybe there's something that he has information about that I couldn't. So intelligence is usually the setting, the topic, and the presentation, which discerns if somebody's smart or not. And I don't agree with that because I think there's people who have a dense knowledge, not dense, but a dense collective knowledge on certain subjects that I couldn't even encroach upon. So does that mean they're smarter than me? No, it just means that they're exposed to different things. So when you have to look at, when you're looking at intelligence, it's usually not the capacity to understand or the capacity to comprehend. It's usually the presentation style, or it's the way you articulate, or the way you convey, or how you present yourself overall, which demonstrates intelligence. And that has nothing to do with intelligence. It might have to do with, it's EQ versus IQ, emotional quotient versus intelligence quotient. IQ has very little to do with if you are considered intelligent or not. Maybe if you're going to do, you know, some sort of, you know, equation or chaos theory or algorithm that's unsolvable and you have no line of sight to anybody and you just get a piece of paper, you Goodwill Hunting it on a chalkboard, and then somebody walks and passerby says, oh, this is a Mozart of mathematicians. It's so elegant. It's a Sistine Chapel and a hallway chalkboard. My God, a sonnet from the gods was touched with an angel's breath. But you don't know anything about that person, but you're assuming that they're intelligent, and you're probably fucking right if they're doing a problem like that. But once you meet that person, they could be like, I like my tight train. And you're like, what the what? I eat cat poo. And then you're like, oh, that person's not smart at all. But then you'd also be wrong. Intelligence is based too much on if people like you or not. And that's not how you rate intelligence. You rate intelligence based upon various factors. And then you add them all up and then you go, well, is that person smart or not? And usually the way people are is, did that person agree with me? Did they say what I agree with? Then they're smart. But if they say a bunch of stuff you don't agree with, do you still consider them smart? Let me give you an example. How smart is Bill Maher? Every single person knows he's smart. He's super fucking intelligent. Bill Maher is wicked smart. But you don't agree with him. Very rarely. So is he still smart? Yeah, of course he is. You just don't agree with him. So you see what I'm saying? You're basing his intelligence upon your own filters, and that's not intelligence. Is Bill Maher smart? Yes. Are the Young Turks and Cenk Uyghur smart? Yes. Is Benny Johnson smart? Yes. Is Keith Olbermann smart? Yeah. Is Stephen King smart? For sure. Is George Takei smart? Yeah. Of course they're smart. But can they be incredibly stupid and naive? Yes. Can they be hypocrites? Yes. Can they be vulgar, knuckle-dragging automatons? Yes. So my point is intelligence isn't based upon true intelligence. Intelligence is based upon what you think. And I disagree with that completely. Just my thoughts. Okay, good. But am I smarter than Benny? I don't think so. Benny is obnoxious. So am I. Doesn't matter. The info is getting out there. No, Dana, it's not, actually. That's the problem. It does matter. It matters immensely. Because when you sit here and say Donald Trump is moments away from taking over his presidency again, and viewers go in and look at that and find out that in 9 short months, Donald Trump will take 2024. And it's like, well, that's not what the headline said. Or when you go ahead and you take someone's work who spent 4 or 5 hours cutting a video and writing a show, and they are literally starving because they can't get monetized on platforms because they can't be seen, and you simply saying that blank at the blank 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 created this video and I wanted to share it with you, and that could basically mean 10,000 people follow them and that person can get a start. It does mean something, because that means the information isn't getting out there. You're getting one brand of information. You're getting one type of voice. And that's not what we should be. We should want an amalgamation of voices. That way we can get the right answer. Not that the info is getting out there, that the right info is getting out there, which means it's correct. It's factual. So it's not okay. It does matter because people work very hard, including myself, on the content that I provide. And I don't want some asshat stealing it and not giving me credit, because I'm not doing this for fun. This is a job. Now, I can do my job with integrity, and that's important to me, but there's people who do their job without integrity, and I believe those people need to be called out. So I'm not sure if you are referring to my comment, but if you are, it does matter. Because when you alienate somebody and you create something that's amazing and you see another channel take it and it gets 20 million views, which could mean $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to that person. It could pay for their livelihood for a quarter to continue working, but that's the last straw. They said, you know what, fuck it. I'm not doing it anymore. I quit. And now we lose an amazing conservative voice because Benny Johnson decided that he needed another, $2,000, $3,000 to go ahead and propagate and take other people's stuff. It does matter. To me, it matters. Yeah. That's why I give credit. That's why I put people on my show, and I don't have a problem promoting DUM. I don't have a problem promoting Still Point. I don't have a problem bringing on Father's Lives Matter or All Lives Matter or bringing on Brandon Michon or Eli Crane when he's running for Congress, because I believe that my platform is designed to help people. So it does matter. Matt, I want her to Instagram and sent her a message. She's not going to come on. Benny is not as charismatic or intelligent as you, Matt, but Loretta, it's okay. You know what? It doesn't matter. That's not why I don't like Benny. Benny's a handsome guy. He's in good shape. He's got a good-looking family. I got no problem with that. I don't care about any of that. I care that he has some ethics issues. And it's long since followed him through his entire career since he was fired from multiple newspapers for plagiarizing other people's work. And he still steals people's work. It's an issue, okay? That's what I have. And I also have a problem that he's wrong all the fucking time. And he never retracts. He never owns it. He never says, hey, I was wrong. I made a mistake. It's a credibility thing for me. That's all. Olivia says, you just have to be wearing your Jack Ryan shirt when I'm not there. So not fair. Oh, she's such a tease. My wife has a very big crush on John Krasinski. She thinks he's the cat's meow. And there have been times where I've been compared during Jack Ryan season 1 and 2 because of the beard and the hair and the eyes and the build. And it's an honor because he's a handsome son of a bitch. But every time I wear these shirts, she gets all hoo-hoo. Red Dawn 3. Red Dawn's never going to happen. So everyone relax. Red Dawn's not going to happen. We have Sonus nets to stop the subs. We have IFF transponder satellites that if one Bear Foxtrot gets off tarmac, we know. You ain't going to sneak attack the United States. It's just not going to happen. We got 3,000 miles of water to our left, 3,000 miles to our right. We have 1,500 miles of icy tundra to the north and Rockies. And then you've got an inhospitable desert and drug cartels in the south. Good luck. Let me know how you're going to get up here. Question, do you hear from Mike? How's he doing? I have no idea how Mike's doing. I don't know. So he's out of pocket. So I don't know. But this is, it's military. You know how it is. It's just the way it is. It's a good show. It's nice to have all the questions today. See if there's any more, and then we'll get to the some of the other things. Backwards hat, Matt, very gangster. No, it's just sometimes I throw the hat backwards. I don't know. It feels good today. It'll go forward, it'll go back. All right, let's get to some show. How about we do it? I want to show you David Hogg. You guys know I just love David Hogg. Love me some David Hogg.
Of CCP.
I think David Hogg is a well-intentioned kid. I do. I think he's Harvard educated. I think he has been changing a little bit his approach. When he first started, he was pretty much F everybody, like Harry Sasson and those guys. And David Hogg wasn't on a bike. He was actually there. He was there at the school shooting. A lot of people make stories that he wasn't. He was there. He was texting his sister, who was also there. And I got to give David Hogg some credit. He went through a very tumultuous time. And he was used by anti-gun groups and the liberals and everything else. And school didn't smarten him up too much. But he's openly come out that he uses firearms for sport. He's used them for clay shooting, pigeon shooting, stuff like that, that his family has guns. And, I don't know if it's because the video came out that he owned it, but I don't like David Hogg. I don't hate David Hogg. I have a place in my heart for people who've been through shootings because it's impacted me. Listen, we got it kicked off with Columbine. And I lived in that town. I lived right across the street from that school, not during the shooting. We were in Wyoming, but this was a huge influence. We lived in Littleton. We lived right across the street from that school. And it has an impact on me. It's our community. And Aurora, the movie shooting, the Batman premiere, that impacted us too because I was working right across from there. And then Cielo Vista Mall in El Paso, when that shooting happened, I ran the freaking Bath and Body Works Victoria's Secret in that mall. I know. I needed soft lines on my resume. Plus, Olivia was sick of getting TVs and shit. So I have a lot of empathy, and I don't go to a movie without being armed now. I don't go to a baseball game without being armed. I do a lot of protecting my family more than I spend enjoying my time outside because I will never not be aware. And if I hear crack one, I'm going into protection mode of my family. But I think David Hogg is a little disingenuous in his approach. And this lady calls him out and really crushes him. I mean, it's beautiful. I want you to watch this. It's an argument that I've made against 1,000 Second Amendment haters and gun grabbers. Listen to this.
Hi, my name is Lily Tang Williams. Welcome to my live free or die state. Actually, I am a Chinese immigrant who survived communism. And under Mao, 40 million people were starving to death after he sold communism to them. And 20 million people died, murdered during his Cultural Revolution. So my question to you, David, is that can you guarantee me, a gun owner tonight, our government in the U.S., in D.C., will never become a tyrannical government? Can you guarantee that to me?
There's no way I can ever guarantee that any government will not be tyrannical.
Well, then the debate on gun control is over because I will never give up my guns. Never. And you should go to China to see how gun control works for dictatorship of CCP.
Holy shit. That lady just frickin' annihilated him. I mean, and she didn't even go into the other 42, 43 million murders and unjust deaths from communism. I mean, she didn't get into Indochina. She didn't get into Vietnam. She didn't get into Laos. She didn't get into Cambodia. She didn't get into Venezuela. I mean, you can go into Russia. And if you actually add World War II into that and look at the 30 million some odd Russians who lost their lives due to starvation and due to poor choices, listen, there's one thing that absolutely results through socialism, and it is as inherent as democracy fails in the world. Because we've tried democracy in 26 other countries. The United States has installed it. It's failed every time. And the reason why is because you can give the greatest set of rules. You can create an amazing constitution. You can put mahogany everywhere and marble inlays. You can stamp and emblazon all of the freaking laws into the marble entryways. You can create prominent figures of freedom and democracy all inside these areas. But in the end, you're handing it over to men. And if that's not good, and those people have not learned a lesson of what tyrannical rule looks like and have it in their souls to never allow that to happen and to protect the people, because long before, long during, and long after those people are alive will be their testament and legacy forever. If they don't have that in their palate, if their corpuscles haven't tasted the bitter, acrid taste of communism and socialism, of tyrannical rule, of a despot government, it's going to fail. And that's why democracy fails. It's why it's failed the Greeks, it's failed the Romans, and it's failing the United States now as this government is attempting to try to put us into a mob rule. As Canada is seeing, we're about 7 years behind Canada. Canada is a little bit more advanced in the let's go to be a democracy type thing. And I don't know whether it's because of their monarchy leanings that they've had. I don't care. I don't care if it's Trudeau. I don't care if it's a slow dissolve of their overall values to what inherently makes Canadians very much like North Americans. But we're right behind them. And if you just want a glimpse on what our future looks like, just go ahead and take a look to our northern friends. All across the border, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So if you think that we are so star-spangled awesome in this country, that we're so far removed from revolution and tyrannical rule, I would ask you to look at the rest of the world. Because I don't know what you believe that this government somehow is so freaking omnipotent and a rise above every other government. And the only thing that would make that true is if men didn't run it. Well, men do run it. And the thing about men is they all want more power. And you can always guarantee that they want money, power, and votes. Those three things. Everything that these politicians do is about money, power, and votes. It will never change. It'll always be the same. So if you're looking to see how the United States did it, it's that we are a well-armed society, which makes us a free society. And there still is a large portion of the United States that believes in the Constitution, and it's dwindling. It's getting smaller and smaller. It's just like Christianity. Christianity is slowly eroding away in this country. It used to be 93% in the United States believed in some form of higher power. Christianity is now at like 73% of the U.S. population believes in a higher power. The younger generation is like 42%. By the time we hit in the next 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to be below 50% of this country believes in Christianity. We're going to be gone within the next next 5 decades. Next 50 years, Christianity has a very good chance of being a minority in this country. We need to wake up. We need to stop assuming that because people believe in things that they don't have the best interests of America. You may not like the Republicans. You may not like their position on abortion, but they do believe that they're doing something inherently right because it does align with the Constitution of the United States. No matter what you want to say about the argument of theology or the difference between morality or right and wrong or human life or whatever, those arguments are immaterial. They're all opinionated. I'm going to give you what's written. And what's written is that everybody, every individual deserves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And trust me when I say that the three things that are promised to every individual are not being carried out when you rip it from the womb, vacuum cleaner it out, rip its limbs apart, and sell it to the highest bidder. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, I'm pretty sure all are thrown out the window with the excavation of that child. This isn't a religious argument. It's not about all of God's creatures. That's not the argument. This is a constitutional argument. I don't have to bring in God. Even though God is a wonderful argument to bring up with an abortion, it's not necessary. We can tell God we got this one. You know what, big guy? We got this. Hang up. We're good. We'll call you, when it's birds changing apogee in the middle of the atmosphere. We'll call you. But right now, we got this. Because we don't need to invoke God about abortion. Sorry, mic out the way. We don't need to invoke God. Let's just have a constitutional conversation. And if you make it about the Constitution, then you simply go ahead and create diametrically opposed viewpoints. The Republicans are on the side of the Constitution of the United States, and the liberals aren't. Let's find out what else they're not on the Constitution. They don't believe in the free speech movement. How many times have they suppressed speech on social media? How many times have they went ahead and stopped families in public squares from talking at school board meetings? How many times have we been censored from a publishing standpoint or music? You can sit here and just go on and on and on. You can look at Joe Biden, who said he wants to take guns. He just signed and took away the trade show, gun show loophole ban, which isn't going to save one life. Because not one of those guns in any of those shootings that have happened since Columbine, even before or after Columbine, none of them have been gun show guns. And if they have, they were purchased legally with background checks. You cannot go into any gun show you want without some form of check and buy a gun. That's not the way it works. What you want is an NCIC background check and a waiting period. That's what you want. You don't want a quick check, but you got to have a driver's license. You got to put down your social security. They do a basic run and sweep through the ATF and FBI, and that's it. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but those guns are not the ones that are being used. Your whole adage that somebody is in a parking lot at a gun show and they open up their trunk and sell guns, yes, they do that. And guess what? It's not legal. So get the ATF involved and arrest these fuckers. But to sit here and say that it's somebody buying a gun at a gun show, give me a break. This is not going to save one life. And if it does, I go back to Benjamin Franklin. If a person gives up even, paraphrase, this much of liberty, civil liberty for security, they deserve neither. But if you want to go ahead and look at the Constitution of the United States and which party wants to, it's really simple. We talked about this the other night. It used to be that conservatives wanted to conserve the principles of this country. Conserve. Conservation. To ensure that they are here, to ensure that they are prevalent, to ensure that they continue. And Democrats, their entire platform was to pursue liberty. The NAACP, the AARP, ACLU, Rainbow Coalition, all interest groups from the left, all had to do with personal liberty. They don't care about liberty anymore. They care about quashing liberty. So if you're going to have an argument about abortion, let's stop talking about religion, okay? Let's keep it. It's not that I don't believe that argument should be made, but that's not our argument to make. Just like O.J. Simpson, man, everyone's going to have their judgment day. Let those people who go to the pearly gates or don't have that conversation, okay? Let us focus on the things that are indisputable. If you make this an argument about the Constitution of the United States, liberals have no leg to stand on. Because it's right there. We don't need to bring up God. We can bring up the Declaration of Independence. We can bring up the Bill of Rights, the Constitution of the United States. Those are the things we can bring up. And therein lies the issue. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's not a life yet. That's right. That's why we have to preserve it, because it will be. And that life has every right to achieve and eclipse its potential just like you did. So if you want to say it's not a life and that's your argument, and you want to make a scientific, even though the scientific community doesn't agree with you, and even though 93% of the fucking world believes that conception is life, there is only a small matter of people who do not believe conception is life. And hear what I said. They didn't say that it's a life. They said conception is life. It is the beginning of life. And if it is the beginning of life, then it has an end to it. And when you come in and rip that out, you are determining the end of life. That is 100%, with no equivocation, murder. The government has no right over my body. You're right. They do have a right to protect that life in your stomach because that is their job. Just like you can't have that baby and then throw it in the river. Well, that life couldn't sustain its own life. It couldn't feed itself. Okay, so what you're saying is that you can go do that to your 6-year-old. Where do we draw the line? Just because it's in your stomach doesn't mean it's not alive. You understand that. You're just playing semantics so you feel better about what you've done. Then why is it that women who have an abortion, no matter what reason it may be, that over 57% of those women seek some sort of counseling, that over 86% of those women have some sort of regret? Because it's natural, even if it was the right decision for them. Because it is a horrible thing to take a life, folks. Take it from someone who hasn't had an abortion, but take it from someone who's been responsible for people dying. Because choices that I made, or intelligence calls that I made, or tomahawks that were sent into certain areas, or a downrange decision of actually putting my frickin' booger hook on the bang switch, makes a decision to take another life. Trust me when I say this, no matter how justified you are, no matter how convincing you are to yourself, it takes a part of your soul. The same is true with an abortion. I don't see many people coming out of abortion clinics who are celebrating with Tinker Tape parades and popping frickin' party favors. Unless it's Madonna. If that's the case, then maybe we should reconsider. Maybe we should talk about the options. Maybe we should have a real conversation and not make it about sex, because remember, that doesn't matter. I always love it when they say, hey, you're a guy. You don't get an opinion on my body. I'm just like, what the fuck's a guy? You're a man. You don't get a say. Define man. Hey, I'm a woman. Define woman. What do you mean I don't get a say? Are you assuming my gender? Are you telling me men can't have babies? Leroy and I, for the longest time, have wanted to go to an abortion clinic and walk in with a pillow in my stomach, or just have Leroy do it himself, because I'm going to need a pillow. But he won't. And he just goes, we're 7 months pregnant, and we want to go ahead and abort our baby. And we want them to say, get out. Why? Because you're men. What? Are you saying men can't get pregnant? I love it when these abortion, fucking pro-abortion people, pro-murder. It's not abortion. The opposite of life is not abortion. The opposite of abortion isn't life. The opposite of life is death or murder. Thank you. That's it. It's not pro-life and pro-abortion. It's pro-life and pro-death. I love that when they do that. You're a man. What do you know? I know what a man is. Can you define it for me? Can you define it without literally being a hypocrite and backtracking on all the other bullshit you've said on your page for the last 2 years? Give me a break. Give me a break. No more questions, it looks like. I think my chat is dead. Amy, throw me a test chat, will you? Throw me a test post. Throw me a test post, somebody. See if it's working. Anyway, I love David Hogg's face in this, by the way. The best thing is when he's leaning on his hand, and it looks like he's just saying, son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. First of all, she's a foreigner. She's a foreigner, so I'm not going to be able to go hard. If she was a white woman or a white guy, I could lead it. But she's a woman, she's BIPOC, and she's fled communism. I'm fucked. Absolutely. Thanks for the post. I got him, James. I got it, Mel. Thank y'all. All right, let's get to the next one. Showed you Speaker Johnson. This is an interesting one. This happened in the middle of FBI Director Chris Wray and his testimony. I gotta give credit. Stefanik, she came to play. Stefanik, she annoys me sometimes, but man, she crushed it. She went after Wray. And you know, Ray's entire disposition in this hearing was, let me tell you what it was. What it is. Daniel Jackson says, "Who is king?" I don't believe in monarchies. I don't know, Daniel. Who is king? Is this where you say Christ is king to me? Because I don't think Christ really cares about monikers. I don't think Christ cares about feudal systems and monarchies. I don't think he would want to be labeled with king. That's just me. I think a king is a human ambition, and God is omnipotent. I think Jesus Christ, Lord, our Savior, God, those are enough monikers for him. That's just me. I don't speak for him. But is Christ king? I don't know. I once again, it would be like, is Christ Duke? Is Christ president? Is Christ the emperor? No, he's none of those things. Christ is omnipotent, and this mortal coil is not necessarily in these titles of nobility probably don't concern him. I think the only thing that concerns Christ is if the people who he cherishes and loves the utmost exemplify to the best of their ability his wishes. That's what I think they believe. He believes. That's just me. But I believe that there's people who put things on Christ that he would shed. But I don't know him. And that's the great thing about the Word of God, is that it was deciphered for us because we can't conceptualize. He's omnipotent. If human beings could conceptualize the Word of God by themselves, then we wouldn't have needed prophets, and we wouldn't need tablets, and we wouldn't need Mount Sinai, and we wouldn't need fables and proverbs and stories, right? So I don't know. I don't know. So who's the king? I don't know. Nobody is the king. Right now, though, it's certainly not Christopher Wray, because Stefanik is going to clean his clock. Listen to this.
Ms. Stefanik.
Director Wray, have you read Robert Hur's special counsel report?
I have reviewed it.
Do you believe Joe Biden mishandled classified information?
I'm not going to discuss the report. That's the special counsel's report, and I've referred it.
In your opinion as director of the FBI, do you believe he mishandled classified information?
Again, I'm just going to refer to the report, and the special counsel can speak for himself on his report.
Are you aware, and this is breaking news right now, are you aware that there's an audio recording of Joe Biden saying to his ghostwriter in February of 2016, quote, "I just found all the classified stuff down."
William Mathis, he is the King of Kings. So to make sure I understand, Jesus Christ, the Lord our Savior, is only compared to kings? So the Henrys and the Louis, can we throw Queen Elizabeth in there too? Can we put Archduke Ferdinand? Princess? Dukes? No? He is the King of Kings. I think that the Bible has been rewritten many times, and it reflects the times of the people. And the inherent things that are consistent across all religions, I think we should use as guidestones to say, these are probably the proclamations and words we should follow to the utmost. that the certain stories and fables inside them may not necessarily have been something that was a reality here on earth? We're not quite sure. But we follow what we believe is the word of God to the best of our ability. And I don't believe that today, tomorrow, or yesterday, that God would come down, and when he does, will say the following words: I am the King of Kings. I don't believe that. That's just me. You don't have to believe that. I don't believe that God would worry about such juvenile titles. Why would an omnipotent being who created everything in his image, who created everything that we see, and everything is laid out as he foretold, would need to come out and use jealousy to proclaim his superiority over his creations by declaring, I am the King of Kings? I think we've been sold some poppycock. It's a word we haven't said in a while, poppycock. From people who don't know the word of God, because not all is foretold in these captured writings. We have glimpses. We've had some separation and some loss. Because if anyone thinks that the translation of the Bible through centuries upon centuries and millennia upon millennia, through multiple languages, through multiple wars, multiple battles, multiple burnt pages, multiple lost pages, pages that we know aren't included anymore, nobody has, and believe that there wasn't some human error involved in translation, I think is not being very honest. And I don't think that it's disrespectful for me to say that God probably wouldn't embrace a title of king, because inherently kings are not very good people. And kings have usurped people, whether it be serfs or peons or peasants or American citizens. So I think it's just as disrespectful to put king in front of God as it would be to say jester in front of God. Court jester. It's just my opinion. I don't like monarchies. Yeah. Jesus said he is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. That's much better than king, don't you think? And if he's the King of Kings, then kings are mortal. And I would never compare God to a mortal man, unless you want to say Jesus Christ, which is probably an accurate depiction, since that's what's said. I mean, what do you feel? Jesus said he will sit on the right-hand side of God. They called Jesus King of the Jews. God states in the Bible that you need to know him by name. That's not king or Lord or God. In an old family Bible, God's name is Jehovah. That is right. It's not with a J, is it? Man put those variations to discredit God, and they... Is that Tithed? I can't see what that is. It's not Tithed, is it? Oh, they titled themselves those same titles. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's my point. It's a creation of man. And I think it's the same as false idols and false prophets. Is God doesn't want to be represented by St. Christopher or St. Patrick or the noble saint of lost causes or people in funny robes who put wafers in sacramental wine. I don't think God would appreciate any of those things. Let alone that grapes were inherently expensive. And the poor and the meek certainly wouldn't be able to afford sacramental wine. Whatever will you do? I don't know, guys. I have a very hard time with organized religion when it comes to my spiritual relationship with God. I don't necessarily condone organized religion. I think it has its place. I think communal relationships with fellow believers is very important. I believe you should demonstrate Christian behavior. I think you should get together. I think you should celebrate and pray. I think you should help each other out. And when a family is struggling, you should cook them dinner and pray for them and care for them. And yes, all those things are good, but you don't need to give to a church to make that happen. You don't need to give to Joel Osteen and give him, hundreds of dollars in order to have a relationship with Christ. I don't believe that. It's not even belief. Damn it. It's not even belief. Belief requires faith. I know that you don't have to give to a mega church in order to have God in your life. I'm 100% certain. I know that for a fact. It's not about belief. It's not a feeling. It's true. Show me in scripture where you have to go to a place with 4 walls to have a relationship with God. Show me in scripture where you have to kneel down before God and take another man in your mouth with a wafer. Tell me where you have to have people gold and lace in the finest robes. Tell me where you have to go into a room and confess your sins to a mortal person. Tell me where you have to follow a man and kiss his ring and drop a knee to a mortal. No. These are simply theater and dressing, and this is the false prophets. This is why I excommunicated myself from the church. This is why I walked away. Because a man bent me over the table and sodomized me in the name of God. No, God wouldn't let that happen. God didn't order that man to do that. That man did it because he's a sinner. That man did it because he's evil. And I spent decades of my life blaming God for that, but that's not God's fault. Why doesn't God just wash away the sin? Because we created this. Men are flawed. And this little petri dish experiment that's happened is worth trying to save, because there's more good than bad. There's more good than evil. And I believe that good will triumph over evil. But it's not going to happen dressed up in silly costumes, doing silly rituals that have nothing to do with God, but have to do with your fealty towards the almighty dollar and some man who says that his soul is saved more than yours because he somehow gets to wear fineries and sit up upon the pulpit and tell you how to believe. I don't agree with that. That's just not, it's not belief. I know that's not true. Because God, Jesus Christ, he didn't come down in golds and fineries, even those are the things that were laden before him. He didn't say the rich and profitable and the people who had silver tongues would inherit the earth. It was the meek. And the chosen people weren't a bunch of people who sat on a TV or sat in front of you and lied to you and told you they knew the truth and knew all the answers, whether it was about politics or God or theology or the universe or the secrets of life. No, he said that the Jews were the chosen people. Yet we now cast aspersions on Jews. We hate them with malice in our heart. You have millions of people who are showing you who they truly are. Millions of people. You notice how the thread got throttled the moment I mentioned Jews? We were pushing 126. We dropped 40 people when I said the Jews. And it has nothing to do with the people on this chat, because Christians inherently understand what the Jews represent to their religion. It's Facebook. Nobody wants to hear this. I am not telling you how to be. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not telling you how to act. What I'm telling you is that if you believe that the only way for you to have a relationship to God is to go and give money to people, to allow your children to be alone with some of these people, it's not the answer. That's not the answer. You have everything included. It's very similar to people who want help from me. Hey, how do I get physically fit? How do I take care of myself? How do I take care of my body? And I'm going to go join a gym. And no, you don't need to join a gym. What? Yeah, I do. I got to go get a Bally's membership. And I can't go to, the fitness one because they allow transgenders in the bathroom. But I need a gym membership. No, you don't. You need 2 dumbbells, 20 pounds, and a bench. That's all you need. And the rest is going to take some ingenuity and hard work. You don't need to go to a mega church in order to be happy. There is nothing wrong with going to a small church in your neighborhood where your friends and family go to pray and worship and study and emulate the Word of God to the best of the best fiber of your being to make that happen. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong going to mega church and giving them money if that's what you want to do. That's your choice. What I'm saying is you don't have to do that to have a relationship with God. That's my point. There's nothing wrong with a crisis of faith. There's nothing wrong with questioning. There's nothing wrong with completely believing and being a true believer. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Everyone's on a different journey. Everyone's on a different path. And as we should not judge the people who have never been exposed to the Word of God, we should not judge the people who have been exposed and chosen to follow Him. That's not your job. It's not my job. It's not your place. It's not my place. You have to find God on your own path. Whether you do or not, man, I don't know, and I pray for you that you do. I have said I am envious. My sin is jealousy. I am jealous of Christians. I wish my mind worked where I didn't doubt, where I didn't question things, where I didn't have that free will. But He did give that to us, and I would just be really regretful if I didn't use it. And I think He'll understand. Because as long as your heart is pure, because I never dissuade people from religion. I did that for most of my life. I'm never going to do it again. Because for the love of God, if you have happiness and your heart is true and you care about your fellow man and you believe with everything in your heart that salvation will be yours, bless you. I wish I had the same, and I'm fighting for it every day, and I'm getting closer and closer. People know. My buddy Josh, he's been here. He's been coming to this show for 3 years. He is a true believer. He only comes in once in a while. And when he does, amen, Matt, dude, keep it up. And he checks on me and makes sure I'm okay. There are people in the Bible who the scripture says will have doubt, who will challenge your beliefs. They're not to be shunned. They're not to be castigated out. They're to be embraced. The declaration is that you should help try to bring the Word of God to those people. It doesn't say you should shun them. You shouldn't castigate gays and lesbians out to burn in eternal damnation if that's what you believe. You should do the Christian thing and help them and bring them the Word of God and recognize that we're all sinners. And the particular brand of vodka may not be yours, but it's still vodka. It really doesn't matter if it's Grey Goose or Smirnoff. We all have sin, and it's all sin. So unless you think that you should be castigated out for cheating on your taxes or having a little diddly on the side with your neighbor or coveting your neighbor's wife or striking your wife or committing a sin or driving drunk or whatever it would be, if you believe that you should not have a second chance or you should not hear the Word of God, I think that's pretty ridiculous. But I don't know, man. I've got my own crisis of faith. Stefanik, here she is. Listen.
End quote. Are you aware of that audio recording?
I would just respectfully refer you to the special counsel.
No, I'm asking you, are you aware as director of the FBI? You're either aware or you're not.
I'm aware. Am I aware of what now?
Whether the audio exists of Joe Biden saying in February 2017, quote, I just found all the classified stuff downstairs, end quote, to his ghostwriter.
Again, I'm just going to refer to the special counsel and his testimony and his report.
It sounds like you might be aware of it then. In front of this very committee in an open session, your predecessor, Jim Comey, testified that he did not follow the proper protocol regarding the notification of Congress of the opening of the Crossfire Hurricane. That will be the counterintelligence investigation into President Trump in 2016. To address this illegal abuse of power by the FBI, this committee included direction to the FBI in the IAA requiring notification to congressional leadership of any counter-intel investigation into a federal candidate for office. Is there any counterintelligence investigation into either Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
I would just say I will refer you to the special.
Now, a lot of people are saying that Ray is dodging here. No, you have to understand open cases, open investigations, open intel probes, collection assets, whatever it may be. Sorry, I'm not picking my nose. Allergies are so, you guys know this time of year. It's always right before winter and right before summer. The hayseed and the cherry blossoms, and my nose just itches, and I got to scratch it. So it's not cocaine, and I just thought I'd let you know. Okay, so Ray is not my favorite person. But there's been a shift from him, and I believe that Ray, like most FBI, inherently care about this country. Just hear me out. Just wait. I know you don't like the FBI. I know you guys think that the FBI is corrupt and they work for the DOJ and all this other. Okay. I understand what you're saying, and I understand your trepidations, and I'm not here to sell you on the FBI. I've got friends in the FBI. I've worked with the FBI. I understand your trepidations. Okay. What I'm trying to say is there comes a boiling point where even the most ardent lefty has to go and dive back into their rudimentary causation of who they are and what they're about. And they do have a love for America. Whether you agree with how they get there or not is not up for me to decide, but I'm just telling you that there is a dedication of service to country, whether he is a lefty or not. Ray is not a lefty. Ray is somebody who hides behind the title and believes fervently that open investigation should not be commented on. Okay, so there's that. Okay, just listen to that. But he also knows there is a very clear and present danger of terrorist attacks in the United States right now. And last night, watch out. That's what I needed to do. I needed to get, oof. Okay. Mini stroke, folks. 527 some odd miles an hour, man. Speed of sound plus. It's not 527. I think a sneeze comes out at the speed of sound for sure, right? Siri, how fast is a sneeze? Only 100? No way. What is it, pressure then? 100 doesn't sound right. I thought it was like hundreds of miles. Ah, shit. I didn't know that. I bet you didn't know that either. Tell me you didn't think it was hundreds, 500, 600, speed of sound. Come on. Much faster. I'll tell you what, if you're on the other end of one, it certainly feels that fast. All right, what Ray is saying here is, and let me just decipher it for you, okay? I'm gonna help you guys understand. He's saying the following: I'm the director of FBI, Christopher Wray, and I am warning all of you that there is a terrorist strike imminent on U.S. soil, and I'm putting all of you on notice. Hear me. And when the music stops and somebody is left without a seat, it is not going to be me. That's what Christopher Wray is saying right now. I'm just letting you know. I know the language. Okay? Once again, I don't speak in riddles. I don't make predictions. I'm just telling you this is intel way of saying, sir or madam, I am making my point very clear that the information I have given you is accurate, and we ensure you is 100% probable. If action is not taken within so-and-so times, based upon the framework suggested to you by this intelligence body, there will be attack in the United States, and this office will not be responsible. This is a notification. And Ray is telling them, listen, fuckers, you better do something about this border. You better do something about this unchecked access into our country. Because that's the way the entire thing went. Now, this is something different. It's about Joe Biden, and there's a bomb that's about to be dropped here by Stefanik. Something that came out during the actual testimony. And this is really interesting, so listen to this. See if you catch it.
Counsel has.
It's not a question about the special counsel. Right. That's a requirement in the IAA of the FBI. Is there a counterintelligence investigation into either Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
There's no investigation that I could confirm here, no.
Is there a counterintelligence investigation?
Again, I'm not confirming any investigation into either candidate.
Are you aware that you're required by the IAA to notify Congress of any counterintelligence investigation?
And we will comply with the law.
Have you already complied with the law? Has there been a notification?
I believe we have been in compliance with the law.
You believe you have been, or has there been a notification to Congress of any counterintelligence investigation of a federal candidate?
I believe we have complied with the law.
Has there been a counter-intel assessment conducted on either President Biden or President Trump?
Again, there's no assessment that I would confirm here in any way. I believe we have been in compliance with the law.
How about on an immediate family member, and by that I mean spouses or children, of either President Biden or President Trump?
Again, I'm not in the business of confirming, especially not in open hearings, assessments or anything like that when it comes to counterintelligence matters.
So you will confirm in the classified setting when we ask you this question of whether there's a counterintelligence investigation, because you are aware that according to the IAA, you are required by law to notify Congress of any counterintelligence investigation, not just for presidential candidates, but any federal candidate.
We will comply with the law.
So you will answer this in the classified hearing later today?
We will comply with the law.
And what's your understanding of the law?
There's a whole series of oversight requirements that we have related to counterintelligence matters. I'm not going to try to go
But specifically the notification of Congress of a counterintel investigation onto a federal candidate. What is your understanding of the law?
Again, I would want to refer to the lawyers to make sure that I'm appropriately complying with it, but I can tell you we're going to comply with the law, and my understanding is we have been.
Is your assessment that you're required to notify Congress of any counter-intel investigation into any federal candidate?
I'm going to defer to the lawyers as to the precision of that.
You're the director of the FBI. They report to you. What is your understanding of the requirement in the IAA?
We're going to comply with the law, including whatever's in the IAA.
I want to turn to the search warrants and the search. In one case of Mar-a-Lago, an unprecedented raid and a search.
Okay, so a lot of people are asking what the IAA is. IAA is interagency agreement. It's essentially a document that says after 9/11 that interagencies will work together and share information upon request or without request if the aforementioned investigations cross over. So let's give an example. Say the NRO, National Reconnaissance Offices, put two birds over the Polyarny Inlet or Severomorsk or Petropavlovsk, and two boomers, two Russian nuclear submarines launched from those areas. They were undiscovered. They were undercover. They didn't go on their own propulsion. They were put into the inlet by tug and then submerged, and ultimately were not seen or captured by any SSN attack subs or any prowlers in the area or SONAS nets in the area to essentially be 160 miles out of port without notification or anywhere from U.S. Naval Command or the North Atlantic Command. Okay, great. So NRO in the past wouldn't, but let's assume that they sat on that intelligence. And then ONI, the Office of Naval Intelligence, is doing its morning briefing, and they are briefing NSA director and who is going to be responsible for briefing the president later that day. And they ask about Russian movements in the North Atlantic, and they say there's nothing to report. They report on a carrier group. They report on two frigates and a few other roaming sub patrols that are off the coast of Greenland running some drills. They've got them here. They've got them there. They've got them on the western seaboard, the Bering Sea. They've got a couple. Okay, great. So they do a report, but they don't talk about those two boomers. Well, there wasn't an interagency communication that took place, even though the NRO knows that that's information that the ONI needs, so the ONI can brief the NSA, and then during that sit rep or that morning briefing or that intelligence briefing that Vice President gets, that intelligence committee members get, the Gang of Eight gets, the president gets, that the Joint Chiefs of Staff get, that information needs to be passed, because all of a sudden, if two fucking nuclear submarines decide to go ahead and light up New York and Florida, it would be nice to know, right? So interagency agreement is that the IIA is an oversight to ensure that intelligence is funneled to multiple agencies without a directive to do so. And then those interagency agreements not only give you stipulations of how to disseminate information properly that's collected from all the intelligence sources, whether it's human, radent, electronics intelligence, et cetera, is there are agreements that you have to notify bodies in Congress or interagencies with that information, and that IIA oversight is done by an independent body. That's what she's referring to. Does that make sense? Does everyone get it? Is anyone listening? Okay, good. I know there's a shit ton of listening, but people ask that question. I just don't think they had a chance to respond. So that is what it is. Okay, cool. That's what I
working with Joe Biden's legal team. Were you or your staff, did you have any communication about either the execution of the search warrant on Mar-a-Lago or the search of documents working with Joe Biden's lawyer? Was there any communication with Joe Biden of you or your team?
Not to my knowledge.
With any White House staff?
By me or my team?
By you or any personnel at the FBI?
Again, I want to make sure I've got your question right. By me or my staff, with who about which?
With the White House staff about the execution of a search warrant on Mar-a-Lago or the search working with Joe Biden's lawyers of classified information?
Not to my knowledge.
What about the Attorney General?
I can't speak for the Attorney General.
No, was there any communication with your staff, with the Attorney General, or you?
Now, this is very reminiscent of the Ollie North hearings. This is how you communicate with a witness or a guest or an expert. This is perfect. This is the way. I got to give Stefanik credit. She's actually asking questions to get answers. She's listening. She's letting him finish. She's being respectful. She's curt. She's direct, but it's informative. And Ray, although smiling and being a little flippant, is playing a little cat and mouse game with her, but he is also answering the question. And this is very reminiscent of people who watch the Ollie North hearings. It doesn't feel like a witch hunt. This is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the way oversight is supposed to be done, with a heavy level of respect for both agencies, the body of Congress and their job to essentially execute oversight, and to actually get information that is pertinent to the conversation, not a gotcha. I got to give her credit. It's expertly done. And I don't care if she's an attorney. I don't care what she is. And I don't trust Ray either. I don't care. But this is the way you're supposed to interview a witness. It's not a yelling match. It's not, I'm going to reclaim my time. I'm going to stomp my feet. I'm going to go ahead and read this chapter of Mark Twain in protest. This is bullshit. This is an oversight hearing, and this is the way it should be.
Execution of the search warrant or the search of Joe Biden's classified documents?
Well, any search would be done in coordination with the Department of Justice. As to who may have communicated with whom,
I'm asking
between the
you,
FBI and the department, I can't.
I'm asking if you communicated.
Whether I communicated?
With the Attorney General, prior or after the execution of the search warrant on Mar-a-Lago?
No.
Do you think it is a national...
Now that's dangerous. Now this is where, see, Ray just lied. And although they're not going to get him on that because that's a trap, okay? She was being very specific about a conversation that took place with the Attorney General after the raid. Well, of course he talked to the Attorney General before and after, but he just said he didn't, which would be a lie. So anytime he did speak to the attorney general, they could go back and say, well, you perjured yourself. That's a chicken shit way to do it. Everyone knew that he was being very specific to the raid. And did you talk about it before or after about the topic of the raid is the way the question should have been framed. But she framed it as, did you have a conversation with the attorney general before or after the raid took place, which is an entrapment question, because of course he did. I appreciate the fact that he recognized it and she didn't slam the door on him. If this was somebody else with less scruples, she could have said, well, you just perjured yourself. She didn't do that. I really like Stefanik's line of questioning here. It's very redeeming from some of the other things I've heard her say.
Or after?
Prior or after?
Well, I would have had conversations with the Attorney General about the appointment of, at that time, Mr. Lausch.
And what were those conversations?
Just about the fact that he was going to be named. But that's not really about the search itself, I suppose.
And my last question is, do you think it is a national security threat to have a federal campaign account on TikTok?
Well, I've been very clear about my views about TikTok and the national.
All right, so let's break this down. In this whole interview, there was breaking news that Joe Biden, in an interview in 2016, I believe, said to someone who was doing his autobiography or his book that I've got the confidential documents downstairs, admitting that he knew he had top secret documents in his possession. And that just broke. And of course, she grilled him and he couldn't answer that because it's an open investigation. But if you think that this document scandal is just going to lay at Trump's door and not hit Biden, you got another thing coming. Leroy and I went through the document seizures. We went through the inventory reports that were taken in January and late May, early June, when the FBI ran the raid. And we have the inventory reports. Everyone who said there was thousands of top secrets, it's a fucking lie. It is a blatant lie. There were 17 SCI compartmentalized documents that Donald Trump had. And some of those were containing folders that had no documents in it. 17. Most of the documents were umbrellas, golf swag, photographs, magazine articles, newspaper articles. We went through the full thing. Just go watch it on YouTube. And I got an early access of the FBI inventory report from that seizure, and I compared it to the one in January, and they were almost perfectly the same, which means the FBI knew what was there. They came in, they told them to put a padlock on it, secure those, did not confiscate those documents, even though there was no cease and desist from the NARA, National Archives, blah, blah, blah. And they could have taken those documents in their possession if they were that secret, if they were that sensitive, if there was that much of a danger to our democracy. Why did the FBI wait 4.5 months to then go ahead and, close to a primary, execute a raid on Mar-a-Lago, go through Melania Trump's underwear drawer, take Donald Trump's passport illegally, not allow lawyers on premises or Donald Trump, not notify him and give him advance warning like they did 72 hours for Joe Biden, 72 fucking hours they gave to Joe Biden for literally a Sunday coffee conversation versus having armed militant FBI and interagency support to issue a warrant on Mar-a-Lago. Wow. For 17 documents. 17, folks. That's all there were. Now, there were confidential, but remember, secret and confidential, I've already told you, the president doesn't even have to notify anyone. The president can read anyone in he wants on confidential and secret documents and completely declassify that moment. President has that power. He does not have the power to declassify TS, top secret, and SCI documents. That has to go through a redaction process. That has to go with a collection agency to ensure that all of those forms of INT, human, electronic intelligence, radent, etc., signal intelligence, those sources are protected and redacted. Names are taken out, and the source is protected because compartmentalized SCI is usually human intelligence. President cannot declassify those. Trump is wrong. I've already proven this. I have went through and I've shown you the laws of the United States on classified document handling, whether it be the president of the United States or whether it be some fucking G1 or some E3 who gets out of Intel school. If it were true, just listen to me. Donald Trump tried to release the JFK documents for 4 years. Those weren't even compartmentalized. Those were top secret. He couldn't. He tried. He promised. It was a campaign promise. Right at the end of his presidency, 2019, he tried to release the documents. He got overturned by the DOJ. And they said no. And Donald Trump came out on stage and said, you know what, guys, girls, I can't release this at this time. I found some things, had a conversation, had a briefing. I got a little ahead of myself. They will be released, but I can't release them at this time. If that were true, he just would have said, you know what, they're released. You can't, okay? You have to protect, the DOJ specifically, compartmentalized information are people who are read in. President has he doesn't even have a clearance. President of the United States isn't even assigned a normal clearance. The clearance that he has is essentially the persona non grata. Anything he wants to know, he finds out. He doesn't even have a revocable clearance. It doesn't work the same way. It's not the way a presidential clearance works. But I know what Kash Patel said. Kash Patel's full of shit. And anytime Kash Patel wants to come on my show, I will fucking slap him upside the head. He doesn't know what he's talking about. President cannot, on a whim, read anybody he wants in on SCI. Now, he can notify the Department of Justice and say, I am going to read somebody in on this information based upon this necessity, this need to know, blah, 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 blah. What they will do is that they will go ahead and use that person, bring them in. They will run an SSBI on that person, a rapid SBI. SSBIs usually take months, but they will run a single scope on this guy. They will prioritize. They'll do an NCI check. They'll do Interpol. They'll do all those things. They'll check bank records. They'll just do a flash 3012. They'll give him an interim clearance and read him in on that specific SCI compartmentalized information. Approve him in that SCI information, TSSCI information, and have an interim clearance. That interim clearance usually expires within 45, 90 days. It's on the parameters of the DOJ and whoever does the overall clearance approval process. But that person just doesn't get read it. Oh, okay, go ahead, green light, Mr. President. That's not the way it works. And the president doesn't want to do that because you don't want to read somebody in who's not authorized to get that information. Can you imagine the president reads somebody in and find out that that person had ties to a foreign government? Imagine reading in Hunter Biden. Imagine reading in Paul Manafort. Get it? So the president of the United States can't say, this is declassified. Sure, on declassified, sensitive, and secret information. He can do that all day long. He can't do it on top secret SCI. That's not true. I know I'm a jerk. All over you. Why am I a jerk, Nicole? Because I'm not saying things that you agree with. Oh. I don't have any Kleenex. You're going to have to find some on your own. Not a democracy, a republic. Who the fuck said democracy? Unless it was in jest. God, where do we get some of these listeners? Seriously. Not very conducive to this topic. Yeah. It's not that hard, folks. It's not that hard. And you can sit here and pretend that he can declassify, but that's not the issue. And that's not what Trump's being charged with either. So for the people who are sitting here and saying that he was charged with obstruction of justice, he's not being charged with obstruction. In fact, he doesn't have one obstruction charge on any of this. The whole thing where he didn't listen to the NARA with a warrant for over, 2 years? That's not what he's being charged with. Because they're not going to be able to make that stick. What they're going to charge him with is a misappropriation and mishandling of classified documents, which isn't going to stick. It's not going to stick because of Joe Biden. It's not going to stick because of Mike Pence. It's not going to stick because of Barack Obama. It's not going to stick because of the Bushes. It's not going to stick because of Bill and Hillary Clinton and the Reagans, who all had NARA issues, who all had intelligence documents in their libraries and respective libraries. You guys remember the sock drawer incident with the Clintons? Maybe you don't. We did a show on it, but I'm a jerk. You might not. The whole point is that this document scandal, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen to Biden. Nothing's going to happen to Trump. So move on from it. But let's stop pretending that that this is some giant conspiracy. The one thing that Donald Trump does have to be concerned about when it comes to the document scandal, if you want to call it that, is that he did ignore a court order for almost 2 years. And if they go ahead and try to hit him with obstruction, it is a chicken shit move. Karen says, I thought the deadline was April 18th. What are we talking about, Karen? What are we talking about? Oh, yes, this was a while ago. Safe to say he will not be visiting her again. What are we talking about? Help me understand what we're talking about, y'all. No, that's not the one. Violet says, wow, the statement says more about you. You don't like it, go away, really simple, and you can address me. Whoa. We don't need to attack viewers, guys. If people think I'm a jerk, I'll find a way to move on. I'll Celine Dion it. My heart will go on, okay? Oh, I'm a jerk. Why? Because I'm making sense? I know. It's, damn me. Damn my eyes. The reason why you think I'm a jerk is because I'm not agreeing with every single thing that's being said. I defended Trump. What do you want from me? 17 documents in the inventory. What do you want? He ignored a court order. Those are the people's documents. They're not his. He doesn't get to keep them. I'm sorry. That's not the way it works. National Records Act absolutely 100% kicks in effect the moment that he leaves the White House. His responsibility is to return those documents. The same thing Obama was supposed to do, same thing Clinton was supposed to do, same thing Biden was supposed to do. They all should be held accountable, because here's the deal. If you're going to sit here and tell me that Hillary Clinton should be in jail for having an unsecure server, whitewashing 33,000 emails, lying in open court, taking compartmentalized information, having phony email addresses as the Secretary of State, and yes, I agree with you, she should be in jail for the rest of her life, well then, guess what? You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth when it comes to the president. Oh, the president's different. No, he's not. He still reports to the people of the United States. Those are the people's documents. They are ours. They're not his. So you can sit here and say that and talk out of both sides of your mouth. But that's not true. Donald Trump had a responsibility to return those documents when the NARA requested them. He chose not to do that. Okay, so there's a slap on the wrist and a fine that comes with that. All this other bullshit is window dressing. Okay? So stop crying. Chuck Stevens, get off the neg bullshit. State the true law as you do. 2-tier. What? I don't know what that means. Matt, can you be a jerk? Yep, but I always want to hear what you have to say. What does that mean I could be a jerk? Why? Why am I a jerk? What have I said that's hurt people's feelings today? Help me understand. What did I say today that hurt people's? Karen was talking about FISA. Okay. I think it's your delivery. People call me the same because my delivery is brash. My matter of fact isn't brash. See, here's the thing. If I'm not talking to you, why would you take offense? I mean, let me ask you a question. Should I do it this way? Good morning, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about document handling in a skiff. What's a skiff? Oh, it's a little box. And radio signal can't come in. There's no electronic devices. You have to have a clearance, usually a little keypad, and you put sound effects. Ding! I'm in. This is wonderful. Ah. Oh, no looking. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Hi, Matt. Hi, Matt. Hi, Matt. Did you bring us coffee? No, I can't bring coffee because I could hide a recording device or possibly a memory stick, so I have to drink in the skiff. Oh, wonderful to see everybody today. What are we working on? Well, Matt, we're going to go ahead and work on Ghost Recon 3. What the fuck do you want me to do? Am I supposed to sing and dance like a monkey? We're talking about the most boring shit in the world. I mean, seriously. Michelle says, want the old Matt back. Oh, I mean, I can make colorful floral patterns on the wall if you want. We're not talking about stuff that needs me to be all, nimbly bimbly and silly like. You just need to hear the facts, okay? And that's what we're doing. I'm good, Tam. How are you? That sounds half Julia Childs and half that sex talk lady. What was her name? I don't know. What's sex talk lady? Oh, like Dr. Joyce Brothers? Yeah. Yeah, she had that scratch. Julia Childs was like this. You need to take carrots and parsnips and cut them. Make sure not to get any of the greens in the carrots. And you want not to have too high of heat. Saute the carrots and tumble. No, don't stir. Tumble. That's Julia Childs. And Joyce Brothers was like German. Says, I want you to take the penis and pull down the skin and fillet it around the head. No, do not bite. Do not bite. Just stroke the penis. That was Dr. Joyce. You guys got to get this shit right, man. You guys are horrible at this. Am I being a dick? You need the whole show in that voice now at least once a week. If I did that, I'd go, my vocal cords would be gone. They would rather you lie than to speak anything. That was funny. Mrs. Doubtfire. Oh, no, I can't. My throat's all harsh because I got allergies, but I can do Euphegenia Doubtfire pretty well. Yeah, I can do Doubtfire. Well, hello. I can't do it. I can't get that high because I got allergy, so I can't do it. I can do Miss Doubtfire. Dr. Ruth, yeah. Did I say Dr. Ruth Ginsburg? Yeah, Dr. Ruth. Did I say Ruth Ginsburg? Do the Swedish stuff. Oh, roll it. Okay, come on. We got to get going. I don't know why I'm a jerk. God, come on. Why do you got to be so mean? Why you got to be so mean? Okay. This is the woman whose son opened fire on Chicago police officers. Ruprecht? I'm not doing Ruprecht. Ruprecht the monkey boy? Excuse me. And these people, there was a video of her earlier crying after her child opened fire on 5 cops. And this is the video. Let's watch this. God, I gotta end this show sometime. Holy jeez, I gotta do my articles. I got the play. I gotta get my nap in.
Run away from me. It's a pain that manifests in memories and pain that manifests in despair.
They took my son away from me. He ain't got that no more. I don't know what I'm gonna do without him.
It's a pain.
Well, what you're gonna do without your son, I'm just gonna let you know because I know what you're doing. This might be a jerk thing, sorry. Is you're vying for $1 million lawsuit. Multiple $1 million. I'm going to say 14 million for the city of Chicago. And that's why you're dressed up in the funny hat. And that's why you put lipstick on. And that's why you literally aren't vomiting right before this interview because you're so distraught with grief that you can't even do an interview from a studio. Because you're on the couch and you're curled in the fetal position because your son, who you actually loved and cared for and raised correctly, is not dead. Because if you would have done your job, lady, he wouldn't be shooting at cops. You pretend you care now while you put on your lipstick and your funny hat and your fake wig and your bullshit story that nobody believes because you're playing for the cameras. So an NAACP lawyer paid by the Rainbow Coalition and Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton come to your house and sue the Chicago police for $14 million as you give them 25%. Your son shot at police officers and he was killed. He wasn't unarmed. It wasn't because he was black. It's because you did a horrible fucking job of raising your kid. And honestly, you should owe the police department for the pain and suffering that they're going to have to go through from your bullshit trial and your bullshit civil lawsuit that ultimately is just going to be your payday. And what did it cost? Well, it cost you your child. I hope it was worth it. I would never give up my child for $14 million, but I'm not a shitty parent. I don't feel empathy for you. I don't feel sympathy for you. It's a show. Fake tears, folks. Can't stand it. May not like it. Was I a jerk then too? Well, I don't care.
hate anybody.
Here's Senator Kennedy. Senator Kennedy had some Mayorkas conversation to say. A few things to say to Senator Mayorkas. We understand, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. Joe Biden has been saying for 3 years, 3 years, I can't do anything about the border. I don't have the power. I don't have the ability. Even though it's written in the Constitution of the United States. I'm sure I've read that somewhere. I'm sure I can pull it up. Because the only job the president is responsible for is to protect the borders of this country and the people within it. That's because he's the executive branch. He's the highest law enforcement in the land. In fact, he has the power to write executive orders to cut the bureaucratic red tape and the bullshit that precedes the legislation necessary in order to secure the border, in order to do many things, from an international law to a domestic law, from calling martial law to stopping funding to states. The President of the United States has the ability to do one role, and that is to execute the laws of the land that are decided by the House of Representatives and the Senate. The House of Representatives are the appropriations and the dollars, and they go ahead and pass the legislation and give the president the ability to spend those dollars to enforce those laws. That's his job. The border, hands down, is one of the most important of his jobs. To establish a border, the sovereignty of the United States, to protect the constituents of this country. If Joe Biden can't implement border law with the stroke of a pen, then how did he write 96 orders to absolve the legislation that was in place that had to do with the border? Follow me here, folks. I can't implement border law. I can't implement border temporary executive orders because I don't have the power. But I can remove legislation that is implemented by the will of the people, the will of a former president, and make an unsecure, porous border and put you in harm's way, but I can't protect you. No, I'm not frozen. I'm just letting that sink in. Okay. Fine, Joe. Good for you. We believe you in Camel Toe 100%. Grandpa Joe cannot implement any orders to secure the border. Sounds good. All right, let's call it a night, folks. Let's shut off the lights. Let's go home. We're done. Whoa, what? Wait, what? It's the State of the Union address? What's that I hear? Joe Biden's going to implement executive orders to secure the border right before the State of the Union? Why? Oh, well, he's losing 71% to 29% to Donald Trump, that America believes that Donald Trump can secure the border more effectively than Joe Biden. Oh, well, let's go ahead and write an executive order. Wait a second. We can't do that. Well, what do you mean, administration for Joe Biden? We can't do it. Why? Well, because I've been telling them for 3 fucking years that I can't do that. So if we do that, we're going to look real bad. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, shit, we didn't think about that. Let's wait. Let's wait for what? Let's wait for more people to die. Let's wait for more illegal immigrants to come. Let's go ahead and send a message to Mexico that we're going to go ahead and cut off USMCA and cut off trade with Mexico if they don't start securing their side of the border. What? That's a great idea. Yeah, let's make it a secret conversation with Mexico. Well, how will America know? They won't. We'll just go ahead and blackmail Mexico. Tell them, quid pro quo, Either you go ahead and secure the border, or we're going to pull USMCA, because we did it with Afghanistan. We did it with Burisma. I'm Joe fucking Biden. I can do that all day long. I can't actually use my executive orders to appropriate dollars to secure the border, but I can unfuck it by simply going ahead and blackmailing Mexico. Well, there's no proof of that, is there? No, there shouldn't be any proof. Well, I've got proof. Eagle Pass, Texas, average of 10,000 to 15,000 illegal immigrants crossing every single week. Do you want to know how many crossed last week? Confirmed? Less than 10. How? How did that happen? Did people just stop coming? How does that take place? You haven't changed any border laws. You haven't increased the amount of people. You haven't changed any of the way that the Border Patrol handles this. You haven't started deporting people. You haven't sustained or stopped catch and release. How did that happen? How did you get Eagle Pass, Texas, which was literally, you could see thousands of people coming over a fucking day? How did you get down to 10? You went to Mexico and you told Mexico to start enforcing their side of the border? How did you do that without legislation? How did you do that without money? How did you do that without a new law? Joe Biden, I swear, if this guy gets reelected, America is the stupidest fucking country on the planet. I understand your hesitation about Donald Trump. I get it. I get it. Sometimes he drives me crazy. But you know what? There's Donald Trump wise. He's Archie Bunker. Okay? He says the shit that we won't say ourselves, but we all love it when he says it. He's Archie Bunker. And then there's Edith Bunker. That's Joe Biden. Joe Biden is Edith Bunker and Archie is Donald. I'll take Archie. All warts and all. A little bit racist at times, says some really weird shit, but he gets the job done and he pretty much says everything we're thinking. Joe fucking Biden went to Mexico and said, you either do this or else. It's all he had to do 3 years ago. Mexico is now running military patrols on their side of the border. They've created a demarcation line. You know, the one that I said and called for? That would essentially give us two backstop, Mexico side and United States side. And now you're seeing border crossings go down. This will absolutely give all the left and the media talking points to say, hey, look at Joe Biden, look what he's done. No. If America falls for this, I will tell you, you're the dumbest people on the planet. Is that me being a jerk again? Yeah, you're idiots. Because for 3 years, this man has completely not given one shit about the border. Not one. Said he couldn't do it. Said he didn't have the power to do it. And then magically, he pushes a button, calls Mexico, and Mexico starts enforcing their border. On the South America side, they've now put military on the south side and police, Mexican state police on the southern side, South America, and stop the influx coming. That's all they need to do the entire time. Why did they do it? Because the Democrats told them to. And if you really think that if Joe Biden wins, and mark my words right now, the day that he wins, if he does, which I'm hoping he doesn't, I'm going to do everything I can in all my jerk style, that Joe Biden is not going to open up that border again and tell Mexico, hey, you're good. Because here's what he said. Mexico, either do what I say or I'm going to nail you on USMCA. Your country has literally risen out of poverty in less than 5 years because of USMCA. You're establishing yourself. The corruption is being based out. Your military is stronger. You're going to go ahead and absolve the cartels in the next 10 to 15 years. Your imports and exports, you become our number one trade partner. If you want to keep doing this shit, watch. Or protect the border as hard as you can with as much effort as you can until the election. And then you can go back and do whatever the hell you want. Watch. Because you know what? there's nothing to say that that's not true, except for all the evidence that it is true, because the last 3 years, Joe Biden has done absolutely nothing on the border. Listen to Senator Kennedy, and then we got to go.
Mr. Secretary, I don't hate anybody. I look for grace wherever I can find it. And I certainly don't hate you. My chairman talked about the woolly mammoths in the room, and I'm glad he brought that up. The chairman's immigration bill was negotiated by two members of my party, Senator Langford and Senator McConnell, and I don't speak for either one. They're both good men. The chairman said that the Republicans who negotiated his bill trusted you and wanted you there. And I'm not doubting his word. It gives me no joy to say this, but most Republicans don't trust you. And a vast majority of the American people don't trust you. That's why you've been impeached. Now, my Democratic colleagues are going to try to sweep your impeachment under the rug and violate 200 years of Senate precedent in doing it. I don't think that they will be able to sweep the issue, maybe your impeachment, but not the issue, under a rug as big as the United States of America. Again, it gives me no joy in saying this. I think well more than a majority of the American people think that as a result of your behavior and President Biden's behavior, our southern border is an open, bleeding wound. I think they believe that our southern border is chaotic. I think a vast majority of the American people believe that a lot of it is political. I think a vast majority of the American people believe that it is chaotic by design, and that all of this is intentional. And I think while a vast majority of the American people who don't trust you,
sorry guys,
believe in legal immigration, they don't believe in illegal immigration.
Sorry.
And they think you do.
Sometimes.
And they think President Biden does.
Sometimes it gets long in the tooth, guys. I didn't even know I wasn't playing the video. I'm sitting here trying to do my cells. I apologize.
And they think that's why the border is open. And they think that your attitude and President Biden's attitude is that while they may be poorer under President Biden, that they're stupid enough to believe you and the president when you say that it's not your problem. I think that needed to be said. Isn't it a fact, Mr. Secretary, that the number of illegal immigrants that you and the president allow into our country counts for congressional district reapportionment?
Senator, I'm not sure I understand your question, but I can surely share with you that I disagree with its phrasing.
Isn't it true, Mr. Secretary, that the number of illegal immigrants that you and President Biden have allowed into our country counts for allocating electoral votes?
Same answer.
Okay. You don't know?
I don't understand your question.
Never crossed your mind?
The notion, Senator, that we intend to allow illegal immigration is nothing short of preposterous.
So you do understand my question.
And if I may, it is disrespectful to the extraordinarily hard work that we perform, and far more importantly, that the personnel in the Department of Homeland Security and across this administration perform to stem illegal immigration, build lawful, safe, and orderly pathways, and invest in a working system. And we only wish that bipartisan legislation, about which I have not heard a critical term,
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary, you're using up my time. You do this every single time. You do this every single time. And it's a fact, and you know it, and I know it, that the more people you allow into our country illegally, the more people are counted for reapportionment. And the more people that you allow into our country illegally, the more people are counted for allocating electoral votes. Now, maybe that's a coincidence, but that's a fact. And you know that. And you've done nothing.
And if it wasn't a fact, then Democrats would not, in the 2020 census, go to the Supreme Court and issue a proclamation that asking people their nationality was against the Constitution and their rights to privacy. Once again, Democrats petitioned the courts to ensure that the 2020 census would not have any question about nationality and legal status for somebody. The reason why is the Democrats knew for a fact that those people would be counted in the census, counted with those states for proportionment, which would openly give them elective representative bodies based upon population for the House, but also allow them for redistricting and allows them for certain funds, certain monies, certain overall FEC regulations that allows them to get government-funded, federal government-funded dollars for handling of elections, and to sit here and pretend, and I got to give Senator Kennedy some accolades here because he gave Mayorkas the way out by saying it might be a coincidence, but it's not, because the actions of the Democrats tell you, because of the census, that they have no desire to get an accurate count based upon voter registration, voter appropriation, or apportionment and accountability. Because if they did, they wouldn't have petitioned the courts.
Nada. Zero.
Absolutely false.
Zilch. And in fact, the only people I know in this country who are better off today than they were 4 years ago are illegal immigrants. And that's as a result of your policy. I don't hate you for it. I don't hate anyone, but that's why you've been impeached. And my colleagues may try to cover it up. They're going to try to cover it up, but they can't cover up the facts. I've gone over my time. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Kennedy is one of the old salts that I actually respect and appreciate still. And the reason why is because he doesn't make it personal. He makes it factual. And even though he may not say it with colorful flowers and do it with a dancing monkey by his side, which I guess people want me to do, he's just matter of fact. His arms are crossed. He's not compassionate. He's pissed. He has every right to be. It's controlled frustration. He raises his voice. He gets upset. He has every right to. Chad says the following. Saw a tweet from Tim Pool that the ID they are receiving would be sufficient enough to allow them to vote in state-level elections. Think this is true. Have any of you forgotten your ID when you went to vote? And what do they tell you is a legal form of ID? Passport? Military ID? State driver's license? That's it. And your passport has to have your residing address on it, if at all, because some states don't even accept that. The ID that's given to illegal immigrants is marked as such, and it's just like a regular identification card. You can't vote with an ID. You can vote with a driver's license. You can vote with a state-issued ID because you don't have a driver's license, but that will have your voter registration and your eligibility on it. I don't believe what Tim's saying. Do I believe that illegals vote? Yes. Do I know it for a fact? Yes. But that's not what we're talking about. Because honestly, with the amount of people who could actually sneak in and vote who are illegal, is it impacting our system? You know what impacts more? Out-of-state voter registration. People who move out of state and continue to get ballots. People who die. California has over 1 million registered voters who should not be registered. Arizona is a hot mess. There are so many idiosyncrasies that are destroying the quality of our election. And those are the things I would worry about. Illegal voters. Can I just be honest with you? Most people who are illegal in this country have no desire to go to a federal or state building. There's FEC Election Commission people there. There's usually police officers there. Most illegals do not want to go anywhere near there because they're going to get their ass deported. Let's just be honest. But the problem is that if those ballots are sent to those homes because they have registered people there who have moved out of state and there are illegal immigrants there, and you don't believe that those ballots are being given or collected, that is the problem I have. If you believe that there aren't people who are illegal who actually get certified mail ballots in the 2020 election, you're also not being honest. Election integrity needs one of two things, or a combination of both. You need state-issued ID to vote. State-issued. Every single person. You don't have an ID, you can't vote. Number one. And the second thing is we need to figure out electronic voting. Now, for those of you who are upset, now here, Matt's a dick. It's going to get hacked. Okay, your banking is electronic. Your Netflix is electronic. You shop with electronics. Your credit cards are electronic. The days of going to the bank and putting your money in and having 100% autonomous with no electronic anything, it's not true. It just doesn't happen anymore. iTunes is one of the most secure servers on the planet. It has never been hacked. How do I know? Because it is federal law. If they were, you would have to be informed. And during the stockholders meeting that I am involved in every single quarter, there has never been a breach. There are ways to make it secure. Key fobs, they are about a penny now to make. If the government wants to go ahead and put a few $1 billion into key fobs and random 32 code generators that run on a watch battery, that you are going to have to pick up your phone and type in a 32-digit code or scan a code in order to sign in, and then have a password of your choosing, and then have a two-factor authentication based on your phone, you ain't hacking that. You're just not hacking that. How do I know? Well, because I get about 10,000 attempts on my Facebook account to hack it a day. And I've got two-factor authentication, a 32-bit key fob, and I have my own password. And ain't nobody getting past the first level ever. And they haven't. And they're not going to. Unless somebody puts a gun to my head. And they're standing there to do it. That voting system will need to be an educational process, and in lieu of still having in-person voting, because there's a whole generation of people who will not understand how to do it, and you're not going to get them to do it. But every black person can know how to figure out how to get an ID. Give me a fucking break. Every single person. There's like 90 things I can tell you off the top of my head right now that require ID, and nobody's saying it's racist. All you got to do is go ahead and have that in-person voting still for the generation that is older who still shows up to the polls, and the rest of us can do electronic voting. And when that generation, God rest their soul, passes from this earth, we can transition over the next 2 decades to 100% electronic voting. And I just told you how to do it. Yes, in-person voting worked at one point. But we have 332 million people in this country, and we're not getting any smaller. Elections are a shit show. We don't have enough results. And if there's a 24-hour window in order to vote, you're going to find a lot less corruption. Do your mail-in ballots based upon absenteeism for the military and for people who are out of country. Do electronic voting for 1 day, and then do in-person voting for the rest. It's real simple. Solve it. They won't. All right, folks, we got to cut. I need a favor. We are a privately funded show. We're not funded by the RNC, the DNC, or political campaigns. We're not a part of Daily Wire or anything like that. We are a local podcast in Virginia. We've been doing this for 3 years, and we need your help. I want to thank Amy for the donation that's not coming through. We have so many likes, it's going to take a while to come through. It'll probably come through tomorrow. But if you can help, we would appreciate it. All you need to do is go to thedumshow.com and click on donate. You can go to link tap go, thedumshow.com. If you liked the show today and you listened for a couple of hours and you were entertained, was it worth more than a cup of coffee? I hope so. If it's true, maybe you can help us out. When you donate to the show, you will actually be recognized on the show. We say thank you for that. You can also go over to the DUM Club at thedumclub.com, and this is the Don't Unfriend Me Club. Saturday, April 27th, noon, we have a Zoom video call for members only. We're going to go ahead and get on Zoom for about an hour. Olivia, myself will be there on the weekend. You go to the DUM Club, you get it automatically every month. We're going to have a Zoom call where we come in, we kind of talk, share some stuff, a little bit less formal, where everybody can come in, feel private. It's not going to be broadcast live, so people can come on and get on video and get to know each other, say hello, and it's going to be a good thing. There's plenty of other benefits to the DUM Club. You can go over to thedumclub.com. Last, you can go to thedumnews.com, where we have all of our news as well. And if you want to buy some shirts, some hats, some coffee, some of the things that we do the best, you can go over to thedumshow.com. Pick up some great shirts and hats, political stuff. It's all over there. And we give 10% back to the Travis Manion Foundation every single year. Don't worry about it, Thomas. I appreciate my hat. I'm excited. Thanks, folks, for all your help. Does that qualify for all the levels? Yeah, Violet, it does. In fact, you should check your email. I believe I already sent your invitation, so you were added to it. We're building it all right now. By the way, you're on the website. Just so you guys know, it's slowly coming together. We're adding new things every single day. But if you go over to... And the DUM Club is growing, and soon it'll have its own URL where we'll have everything. We'll have the links, a sign-in page, all of that type of stuff for y'all. But if you come on over to the DUM Show and scroll down just a little bit, there it is. You got the gold members, Victoria Robinson, Deidre Hall, Dolly, is it Dolly? It's not Daly, it's Dolly. Debbie Headsley. We got Angela, Keith, Violet, Leonard, Edward, and Sam. Those 9, and we've only had the DUM Club for a few days, will be invited to the show. And everyone else who joins the DUM Club will do the same. And honestly, people were donating, and we're like, that's great, but let's give them a way to give every month, but also get something in return. All the details for the DUM Club are there if you go over to the DUM Club. And you also get ad-free advertising. If you guys want a birthday video or want an autographed picture, you want to go ahead and have a lunch, there's all sorts of things in there. Go take a look. It's all fun stuff. Appreciate you guys. We're not on tonight. We are off. I'm going to Hayden's play. So we will see you guys on Monday. If we have a burr up our keisters, we'll come on the weekend. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your support. And if you guys could go ahead and help us out with donations, keeping us strong, we would appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless.
Adjusting transmitter output.
Monday.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.